It's a priority. Pickle was an inspiration to us all. If I didn't already plan to follow through on Taco Bell later, I'd probably join you. Also, I'm a little disappointed there's no stuffed crust option at the Pizza Huts near me, but besides the point. More important thing is we're in game now. It's been a while. How are you feeling, Dan?
Well, I have to say, now that the stream can hear me, because I had the wrong audio source selected, since it's been a while since I've used this broadcast package, I'm feeling very good. By the way,
Ooh,
the
look at that.
reference of me facepalming was that a big pickle went to grab Pizza Hut before the game started, and we are a little late because of an Idaho forfeit, but we're still in the game. Nice shot from Fuzzy Squid, and Internet just decides that he wants the B site, so he'll take it, and Villanova gets bomb plant.
Yeah, classic around the world opening strat. We've seen that a couple times from a few teams that we've seen in the past. The first time I think that we've seen it from Villanova this semester, anyways. The first time these two teams are meeting. Montana, one of the new teams joining us for the fall. They had a bit of a rough start against Marquette last week, which is a rough matchup for anyone. And that rough start is also true for their first round here. Pistol round, it happens. There's some decent opening defenses, but sometimes that around the world through connector can be a little misleading, and that overwhelming force, especially if you get a little bit of that rotation like we saw there, it's just kind of a rough time. So Villanova is going to get the advantage, obviously, coming into the second round. We can see that Montana opting only for that armor buy on Fuzzy Squid, but otherwise just looking to GG go next.
Yeah, they're all going to hang out towards long, hoping that they're guessing correctly. That's obviously not the case. Villanova's around the world of through mid, down connector, and onto B is actually the invert of the old strat we saw from Colorado day in and day out. Every pistol
Yep.
round they played on overpass, they'd go to the bottom of connector, up the stairs, and then around that mid bathrooms position and just take A fairly quickly. It worked just about every time, except for that one time they played Marquette when it didn't. But, every other time it did.
Every time except for when it doesn't.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's me when I play Counter Strike. I win unless I don't.
Yes. And speaking of wins, Villanova takes round number 2 completely predictably just based on the hardware alone. So Montana finds themselves a little bit more cash in the bank, and the decision to buy comes out. You can see normal armaments, and they'll go back to their default setup, which will be the first time that we really get to see how that's going to look. Looks like they're going for that 2-3 split with 2 on to B. And Villanova continuing that aggression towards B, obviously found a lot of success in that in the 2 rounds that they've won so far. And a little bit of a delay from Texas Toast here getting in from that heaven is going to leave that monster position open. The benefit that Montana has here is they have the upgraded weapons, but that's not going to matter as Internet floods onto the site. Tyler goes down, but through the smoke, Internet, this is just madman today. He's found 2 kills. That's the second time that he's had a double kill coming into this site.
Somebody just nerf Internet at this point. That smoke on top of the bomb at least meant to create some space up towards heaven. Long flank by a big pickle. The problem is it's taken a little bit too much time that Montana really cannot afford at this point. Bomb's already about halfway gone. They do not have a kit available, and they also will have 18 HP on a big pickle, who is that lone flank. This should be a save for Montana. They don't have the money, nor honestly the weaponry to pull this one off, and now that they've lost a big pickle, that should be the case. Unfortunately, it wasn't. So upgraded weaponry for the remainder of Villanova. That Deagle from Internet should have upgraded to the M4, but surprisingly did not. Apparently it was shot back alongside the body of a big pickle. Nonetheless, it's still the bonus round victory.
Unfortunately, that macaroni and cheese that Pickle picked up earlier was not enough to carry him through that round. Maybe it's got a little bit of a delayed boost here coming through, but that is going to put Montana once again on the back foot in the save. You can see Frank there with the MP9 going to try for something, some upgraded pistols, but that it was difficult just because of the way that they were just a little bit late to the B site. That is obviously going to give an advantage to a team like Villanova, who's just pushing the W button and keeping their foot on the gas. Montana is able to find a couple kills here. That's going to be a big win on them. That's 3. That makes it a 2v2 that suddenly on a save is kind of winnable.
Well, you forgot Internet exists, who, by the way, is at 11 kills through 4 rounds. He does not miss.
Oh my goodness. I mean, we've seen the internet go off before, but right now it's all internet. I mean, the next person on his team, all three of the next three frag leaders are only 3 kills, and that is more just on internet than everyone on Montana combined, and that is just a testament to how crazy this man is. And we see Villanova finally changing up their strategy. I mean, they went 4 rounds just pressing W into B and had no trouble with it. So this is their opportunity. They know that Montana's going to be on a bye. They're going to go a little bit lighter on it, just trying to on the aggression, just trying to parse out where everybody is. You can see Rusherum gets that early pick onto Pickle. There's still going to be 2 ops on the side of Montana, so the ability to play back, play a little bit more conservatively, is going to give them a little bit more comfort. But they're still playing from that early disadvantage. So we're going to see how they contend with that adaptation as the round progresses, and we see Villanova start to make some choices as to where they want to go.
Fun stat for you. Before this round, you could have combined any 4 players in the server, and they would have had as many kills as internet. Any
That
4.
is impressive.
That's
He's
astounding.
a one-man army.
He's insane. And Fuzzy Squid finally bringing down and at least bringing it back to that man equalization. The problem is a lot of sound cues. Free kill for Tyler, who is able to just take the B site again. Villanova are not too resisted upon on the B side of the map at this point, and it's not the greatest showing for Montana to continually give it up. They cannot afford to keep playing retake on one of the more difficult sites to retake in Counter-Strike, much less the more difficult site to retake on this map specifically.
Yeah, it's true. I think I'd like to see maybe in some cases that it has been around. Again, it's all in hindsight. Some earlier choices to save, just so they had a little bit more of an opportunity to set up these defenses earlier on. As you can see here, with both Tyler and Rusherum still alive without an op, this is a really dangerous and difficult thing to have to retake, especially because Tyler playing from that ramp position behind Monster is just going to naturally have a little bit of an angle advantage there. And that's going to make any approach that's, not from the flank position just kind of difficult. And Montana has been playing pretty conservatively. I mean, they haven't had a lot of chance to really play into any particular strategy because they've played several rounds where they've had to eco or just flat out save. So they haven't been able to kind of get into that aggressive, push through, find information that we might see from a Marquette as an example. So maybe that's something that we'll see them change up from it. I think for right now, they need to put a little bit more effort onto the B site specifically, just because we've seen so much aggression from Villanova. It's also where they've been putting internet to test out. So if they can kill him, that's going to put them in an automatic advantage, as we've already seen. He's been the single linchpin for a lot of Villanova's success so far.
Villanova, again, just creating space for themselves. And my favorite part about their playstyle at this point, not the fact that they're winning 5-0. That obviously is looking pretty good. But the fact that they are winning 5-0 and still making sure they cross their T's, dot their I's, do their due diligence, and make sure they clear out unique positions that can be held down, whether it's a niche, kind of like the stairs and connector, or, well, I was going to say long, but there's the duck finding a kill from behind. Restroom's taken care of, and that man equalization again brought forward. But Pixel walk across short. Cheney almost had an opportunity to find a kill on 2 separate occasions, but the drop, there's a sound cue, and Cheney still finds the kill. So Villanova pick up that man advantage once more. And again, Montana are up against the ropes.
Not in the worst position. I mean, they've still got Fuzzy Squid there with the M4, just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on towards that B site. So not in the best position, but with Villanova still split the way that you can, Montana doesn't really have much of a choice. They can't necessarily full commit to one site because that's a huge gamble. We've already seen they've had some difficulties with the retake, especially as they're playing at a 4-3 disadvantage. But Cheney coming down is going to find Fuzzy Squid. He did trade for Tyler, so that's a little bit of good news for them. And the rest of the team is there early enough to get some of that cross damage, but it isn't enough to find a kill as they cross before they get that plant down. So again, we're in that retake position, and it's a little scary. As you can see the duck there just almost losing his life to the molly, but just able to barely survive with that. They are going to go for this boost, which is very advantageous until internet goes around the corner. That, of course, is going to put a damper on things. So to me, this is another early save. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and the duck decides to go for it, and that's going to lose them an op and a 6th round. So Villanova in an incredibly good position so far, but like you said before, they're not taking that for granted. They're keeping their game really tight. They're playing to the advantages that they've got, and they're changing up the pace on a pretty regular basis, which I think is keeping Montana on their back foot. Montana so far doesn't seem like they've had the ability to really settle into any particular strategy, and obviously that has benefited Villanova quite a bit as they've been able to change directions, a little bit of momentum changes, towards one side or the other pretty quickly, and that's just been a really solid strategy for them so far.
Texas Toast has realized at least there's some pressure coming from Maine. Nice flash over, though, and he still fights the kill! Internet! You went from not missing a shot to missing almost an entire magazine. No! That's an unfortunate... Yeah, of course. But, like, the stark contrast between the two, that's unfortunate there for Internet. There is a trade, so Fuzzy Squid's taken care of, and it's still a rifle for a rifle. But it does allow Texas Toast to upgrade, but Shaney... awareness to drop the duck. Nice kill and a nice return to give Villanova again that man advantage.
They're just kind of getting picked apart on the Montana side here, right? They, I think, have just come up against some unfortunate 1v1s where they're looking the wrong direction, or they're fighting someone like Internet as an example, and that's it just created some disadvantages for them as they're trying to win some of these early duels, play some of these more aggressive angles. That being said, Pickle finds Tyler before getting taken down by Cheney, so that's at least going to delay the bomb plant a little bit. It's going to do a little bit more damage to Kwanye there, and almost another one found by Frank there, but now this is just a Montana team with not a lot of life left in these last couple of rounds. I think based on what we've seen before, they might try to go for it, but this is another one of those situations where I'd say hold on to the rifles, take whatever advantage you can into the next round, and see if you can pull anything together. You can see Villanova playing from the extreme distance, but there's no utility on the side of Montana to assist in this defuse. They think that smoke came from them, but that's not going to be enough to make that happen. Or maybe it is. Maybe I am completely wrong. Okay. All right. I stand
no
corrected.
Kit. No.
You hate to see it. That was, I don't know if does he survive that? He does. Okay.
I honestly, in all the borderline rounds that were there for Montana, which is save or buy, save or like go for it, that's one of the rounds where I say that's a responsible decision to go, because at least you've done damage onto one of the two remaining players. You have an inkling as to the other fact that there's an AWPer, so that gives you even more of a possibility, and you have a full kit of utility on Frank. So
yeah.
Honestly, not the worst decision to go for it. I think the problem is with that flash, you just took a little bit too long. Obviously, some improvements can be made, but that's a good decision to go. And they decided to go quickly. They didn't decide, oh, do we want to wait? Do we want to save? They were decisive. That's what mattered. Nice shot from Internet. A follow-up as well, dropping Frank. And the B site, once more, has fallen. You should probably just find a way to add it into the London Has Fallen / Olympus Has Fallen movie series, because it's going down quickly.
like Plane also starring Gerard Butler. Yes. I think that from Montana there, you can see the setup. Like, I like the places they were putting down the smokes. Like, I think that could have given them the advantage that they were looking for. The problem is the timing continues to be just slightly off for them. So they're running into these situations where they're maybe like 3 to 6 seconds late for the intensity of the momentum that Villanova is bringing and that speed. And as a result of that, things that probably would have worked have just fallen a little bit short, and that's putting them at this continued disadvantage. That being said, I do agree that the decision to go for it in the previous round probably was a right one. I mean, right now they're facing 8-0. They've got to take some risks, but the trade-off is they're kind of seeing like the ghost of past mistakes when they chose to go for it when they probably shouldn't have, is putting them at a disadvantage in terms of the utility and especially the utility that they're running into, and that's going to make some of these later rounds harder. But if they can get a couple rounds on the board here, and I mean, honestly, even 4 would be not terrible. That's going to put them in a better position going into the T side, and hopefully they'll be able to make something out of it. If they can play a little unpredictably and continue to, find some of these positives in terms of those 1v1 battles, I think that they still have a chance. Obviously, right now, coming from a deficit, there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that. But they're making it work. I mean, they've got a lot of damage onto Tyler, despite the fact that Kwanye just took out Fuzzy Squid, and there goes Frank. These chances are slipping away as I'm talking, but there's still an opportunity there. I mean, I think both Pickle and Toast have an opportunity to come together and maybe put up a better defense with that bomb still being all the way back. time will tell.
I unfortunately can't tell you anything, Tyler. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm sorry, that was low hanging fruit.
Yeah, no, you're right. I walked into that one.
The big note is Texas Toast is sitting at Monster and may actually turn their attention, but they've dropped the bomb. That should be immediately communicated. So all three players of Villanova, in three very different positions, by the way, know that Texas Toast is directly around the Monster position, and with a Tech 9 out, Ereshkiram tries to take the first engagement, only an AWP as their primary weapon. A follow-up for Texas Toast as well. The problem is I don't think they know about Cheney, and they don't. Shot in the back of the head, turned the wrong way. First-person shooters and timing. Name a more iconic duo.
That's devastating. I mean, like we try obviously not to bring too much bias there, but in those exciting moments, I mean, that was almost a huge clutch. And what a way to bring them back into this game, get their first round on the board that would have been. And honestly, facing an op, there's obviously always the chance that you get that first engagement, you go down in one shot, but if you cause that mistiming just a little bit, that's a huge advantage, and that can be a relatively easy 1v1 if you play it the right way. So unfortunately, that's not the way that it works, and Montana finds themselves down 9-0. They are once again on a save mixed by kind of thing. They're kind of going for more of the we've got to get something here, but it's not quite working for them. As internet finds Fuzzy Squid, as Ereshkiram burns another alive. And that's another difficult place for them to be. But maybe Frank can do something crazy here.
Not the greatest showing. And finding one, at least a benefit to give Montana a shot at this round. But unfortunately, Pickle is on only a 5-7, and Texas Toast has an M4 after being able to find a few kills in the previous round. But this is one of those rounds where you border, you say, do you save? Do you send it? And in my opinion, this is a save. Texas Toast with an M4. Pickle has that 5-7, you'd argue, say, hey, you can go for it. But at this point, I don't know if it's worth it for Montana. And they're now looking at 10 straight rounds for Villanova, all of which are unanswered. And Internet's now on 15 kills. So I think enough said.
It is indeed. It looks like, pretty obvious at this point that we're going to go to the 10-0, like you said. I think Montana, not out of it yet. They did save over the M4 here. They'll have a little bit of cash going into next. Should be enough to get a reasonable buy. Pickle goes down, but it's not a huge loss. They'll still have 6,300 going into the next round. So not a bad position overall. Certainly a lot more could be done to focus just kind of the collective efforts here. And again, it could get to where they just do something kind of wonky, right? Like you normally have this kind of like either 2-1-2 setup with one in con, 3 towards A, 3 towards B, whatever. Maybe this is a good opportunity to put a little bit more towards B, try to take over that water control. The conservatism of Montana, I think, have given them some good opportunities, but it's also put them at a disadvantage where they've had to look at like a retake or a rotation. So there's a couple different options here, but winning that early fight by Fuzzy Squid's definitely going to be a big boost early on.
Boosts continually need to be there. And on the other side of, I suppose, the same coin here, Tyler, is Montana still being in the conversation for a lot of these rounds. There's no way, other than maybe 2 or 3 of these 10 rounds, where you're saying, oh, Montana, after that opening 2 or 3 picks, they're completely out. They've continually put up these fights. They've given themselves at least arguable shots, and they've adjusted, at least fairly well, on most of these rounds. Kwanye trying to walk up long, maybe caught on the side of the smoke, but still finds a timing, finds a first, and is able to back away safely. And again, the opening kill goes the way of Villanova. If I had $1 for every time I said that, I'd probably be able to retire by the end of next week.
I am still holding out faith for something amazing to happen here. And Montana has had those moments where, save like somebody looking in the wrong direction or just kind of an unlucky spray or timing. They haven't necessarily been out of too many of these rounds that you wouldn't expect, just based on like an eco versus a buy or something. But I don't think the score is necessarily descriptive or accurate relative to how close some of these have been. But you got to imagine at this point, going down 10-0, like that's going to maybe not tilt you, but it's certainly going to weigh on your mental fortitude at the time because there's a lot to deal with there. A little bit of an end kill there is going to give them something, but unfortunately, Cheney and the rest of the crew hunt down Frank, and that's going to be a very Unpleasant position for them to be in. Now they're down an op, and that is no good.
Tyler, would you say this is you right now?
What? No comment.
What are you waiting for?
No, something amazing, I guess.
Wow, just had that one on hand, didn't you? All right, so Villanova coming into this, we've got Montana down to 3 players. They've got that Mag 7, which can be an absolute miracle worker, unlike unlike Dan, who's just a troll. And Montana's going to try to build something out of this. You can see 2 of those players still towards B, but Texas Toast moving for that rotation onto A. You can hear multiple footsteps, different audio cues coming in different places, and some of these 1v1s coming up, especially that one would have been a really important one. That's now no one from the Montana side on the B site, and that is the Duck trying for that close angle, trying to find something to happening, and that's going to keep Texas Toast kind of stuck in this purgatory of which direction are you going. There's kills on both sides, and by the time he hears where those things are, it's going to be too late, and the decision is going to have to be made. Do you hold on to the AK, or do you make that desperation attempt? It seems wisely he's going to try to push for some level of safety in water. I think it looks like he keeps creeping towards that A site, which makes me a little bit nervous about the fate of that AK. But if he's able to hold that down, that's not a terrible place to be.
Shaney just got shot in the face. I love it. It does seem like Texas Toast could be safe for this one. So, all in all, Montana staying safe. And this is something I brought up all the way back when it was like 5-0 for Villanova. I'm going to bring it up again. They are winning, and they are winning by a lot. By no means are they taking advantage of it. They are playing as they should, as if the scoreline was 0-0 or 5-5, whatever you think it may be. They are playing like it's a tied-up game. And they are not continuously just holding W because they're winning, unless you're Reshiram, who continually just decides to swing with a Tech 9 with an op in hand in close range engagements. I don't know if that one's as advisable as one may think, but still Villanova winning 12-0, and still with about as much economy as they could hope for. A few players are dying a little bit more often than others, especially in these previous few rounds, but overall they're safe, and they're feeling pretty okay about it, considering, well, there's 3 rounds left in the half, and they have enough money to buy in each and every one of them.
They sure do, which is going to continue to give them a lot of confidence in all of the decisions that they're making, whatever strategy, whatever site they decide to ultimately go towards. Montana, on the other hand, I think the big focus here is not necessarily winning the rest of the rounds, but winning at least one round. That is going to be probably the most important way to just kind of keep them mentally in the game, to be prepared to, just go with confidence or some level of confidence anyways into that first round of T attack. If they can pull off that pistol win, again, I'm an eternal optimist and believe that even if you're down, 15-0, there's still a chance. We saw, I think it was Team Liquid come back from, was it 12-0 earlier this week? So, I mean, nothing is impossible, and Montana certainly, I feel, is capable of pulling that off.
Especially after showing early on, especially against Marquette, how well they played. By no means are they completely out of this. And again, this is a best of 2 series. There's still a second map, of which is their map pick, by the way. And Overpass by far is not a default map by any means. Very lucky. Nice shot from Texas Toast. The spray transfer especially. Looking for a follow-up. The shot around the corner, still known, but still finds a follow-up. And Internet is just on 9 HP. Well-placed breeze by Mother Nature would kill him, much less a shot from the AK. But it's Internet's rifle who finds a double.
Oh, no.
And 13 rounds for Villanova. A third clutch in this half. Remember the Wildcats. And VU is just walking away.
Internet has just been such a dangerous presence across the map, and you saw it was 9 HP. Literally could have tripped over one of those stones or over that curb right there, taking a dive and would have been dead. But unfortunately for the Montana team, I think there was just like a little bit of that like initial kill shock, right? Where you see the frag, you're not entirely sure where it came from, and you're kind of like all over the place trying to figure out the direction to go. And unfortunately, that gave Internet the open to use that 9 HP to its fullest potential, get those final 2 kills, and close out that round that absolutely should have been Montana's. But those are just things that happen. You got to pray that Internet's not the last one alive.
Internet still fragging out. By the way, before that round, he hadn't found a kill in 3 rounds, and he decides to find a 3K, including a 1v2 clutch. Somebody nerf this guy. Oh my goodness, he's just not stopping. Texas Toast is slaughtered on the B site. And Villanova is like, oh yeah, hey, that site's ours now. And wasting no time now taking it. Internet's on 20 kills. We still haven't finished the first half. And he's looking for a 21st and may very well be able to find it. Yeah, sure, why not?
I mean, when you're on, you're on. And he's definitely been one of those people that we've seen be very hot and cold. There's been some really great opportunities over the last 9 weeks of competition for him to show off that skill. Sometimes he's been more successful than others, and today it's just unbelievable.
You know, if they weren't running Faceit anti-cheat, I'd be upset right now. And I'd think that Internet did something to his PC, because he is good, but this is not normally, so somebody please check him PC. But no, it's 22 kills. He has a 4.4 KD in a competitive game. And again, it's not something that Montana is doing inherently wrong. It is Villanova holding W, Internet taking fights on angles, and not being caught out. And Cheney just bought an auto sniper. Oh no.
I mean, it's round 15. It happens. It's like tradition.
It's true. Still concerning. Doesn't work out for them, though. Flash around the corner. Oh, and it fully lands. Duck couldn't see a dang thing other than a white screen. It's like one of those instances where you're in a dark room and you get flashbanged by your PC. He got flashbanged by the earth. And they're sending the sun the way of Frank as well. Luckily, the first flash doesn't hit. He does at least find one, but Tyler does not care and finds a double. Villanova, again, have taken the B site. They have planted on A 2 times, maybe 3 in this half, and B just has continuously worked for them. And this 15th round is no exception.
Absolutely. So it looks like it'll be kind of an unceremonious end to this, especially because Internet just unstoppable at this point, and I would not want to be in the same server with him just based on how hot of a streak he's been on. There's still, I mean, a little bit of hope, and it's round 15, so of course you're going to try whatever you can. Unfortunately, it's not enough. So Montana's going to go into the second half on the T side, starting off from as big of a deficit as possible. That's going to be that 15 round difference. And if they don't win the pistol round, that's over. That means every single round that they're about to play is match point for them, and they have zero margin for error.
Hey, I mean, on the bright side, Montana just needs to do exactly what Villanova did. The downside, Villanova just did the most difficult thing in Counter-Strike, which is have a perfect half. That or find a knife kill. Depends on what kind of game you're playing and how aware your opponents are. Montana trying the exact same thing, or at least something similar. They go connector, however, out towards water, but are going around towards monster as well. It seems like a very complex ring around the rosy game of the map in and of itself. What in the world are they doing?
I don't know.
I was going to say, oh yeah, they're doing ring around the rosy. They're going to pincer B. But then they just decided to go back to spawn. And now they're playground/fountain. Now they're going long. They really decided to take your around the world reference and put it to the fullest extent possible here in the second half.
I mean, with only one round between you and defeat, why not? And I mean, it seems to have kept Villanova mostly grounded on one site. They are going to trade for that 1-for-1. There is one more on jump up, and that was
Apparently got disconnected. Apologies, Tyler. You've been cut off by Discord. Thank you very much, Discord. I promise, the game's still going, and it's still about as close as things can get. Internet puts up his 25th kill and a headshot to find his 26th. He will finish the game with a 5.2 KD, and Villanova University will walk away with a 16-0 victory. Don't let the overlay fool you. That one was about as not close as it could have been. I am still disconnected, and I do not know why. We're gonna pretend that Tyler totally knows that he cannot be heard right now, and we will show that Villanova is currently up. Tyler, you can't hear me. I am disconnected, about as disconnected as things can get. I hope you see it. Nope, he still can't. He can't look. Hold up, Tyler. Look down here. Hopefully he knows. Discord has just died on me. It just says disconnected on Discord. That's a first for me. Discord's connection has been interrupted. Sorry about that. We'll try to reestablish the connection in a moment. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a break, and then while we do so, you're going to understand that Villanova is winning, and it's not looking great for Montana. So in the meantime, we're gonna take a break. Map 2 is Mirage, Montana's map pick. There is a shot for them to come back, but they need to come back from a 16-0 deficit in the first map. We'll see if they can do so when we come back. It's redemption day for the University of Montana, as Mirage has to be their saving grace. The first map, obviously not their strong suit, overpasses 16-0 victory for Villanova as they come out the gate swinging. They're looking to continue, obviously, on the most played map in Counter-Strike history, but they still have to take down Grizz Esports. To do so, I'm Time to Light. Joined alongside me is Viking for our second map of the day here in EGFC season CSGO season 10. No, week 10, season 4. Tyler, is there a shot for Montana to bring this back?
Absolutely. I mean, I think if I'm Montana, I'm looking at this as we just lost 16-0. That is a huge motivator. We want to, prove that that was just a fluke, that we can still come out on top of that. They've gotten a little bit of a flavor of what Villanova is all about. A lot of that is going to come down to this man who just got his first kill and the first kill of the map, Internet, and the second one. He's just so deadly from all places that he can attack from. And Tubby Muffin coming in as the sub, our boy over here, one of our favorites from the previous split in season, finding his own 2K, almost a third before that's taken away by Tyler. I mean, that's a big statement from Villanova. But again, Montana's coming into this on the T side. It's a little bit tougher, as always, to just start off on that, especially coming off of a loss like they did. But I have no reason to believe that Montana's not going to put up a great fight, that they as a team have every reason to continue pushing and showing Villanova that they're not going to be pushed around. They're not going to take another 16-0.
Problem is, for University of Montana, they've lost the pistol, while Villanova starts on the CT side, which in history is the more advantageous side of things. Tubby Muffin has an M4 in the second round, and Tyler with an MP9 is able to find a double of their own. And this is a fake. A big pickle's going to walk on towards the A side and was going to get knifed, but Internet instead is seen and instead just goes for the MP9. Instead of $1,500, it's still $600, and Villanova still win the second round.
If it was anybody other than the Internet, I would say they had a chance at that misdirect. That's a good choice. But unfortunately, again, Internet doesn't seem to have shown any signs of slowing down whatsoever. He is still just as on as he was in that last map. And boy, is he continuing to show just how dangerous this Villanova team can be, and why they've made such a big climb up the ladder since the beginning of the fall split. There's just another flick. That's Toast trying to lurk out through the apps, and that's an AK down. Texas Toast is no longer a factor in this round, so that's going to leave the remaining 4 teammates to try to do whatever they can for that, with a little bit of presence everywhere else. They're going to lose that second player in mid. So Montana starting off on a difficult foot from their first buy round.
I don't know how in the world Internet is just so consistent. Duck being double swung, they actually retrieve an AK. That's a Reshiram who picked up that AK-47 up towards the top of mid. Aggression out of A main by Internet, but he's caught from up above. That's Frank up towards the heavens. Not heaven specifically, just the heavens, I suppose. But still, the return. And no man advantage anymore for Villanova. A little bit of over-aggression costs them. And you lose 2 players, 1 mid, 1 A main, both of which had already found a kill in this round, but that's some weapons that you really cannot afford to give over. Luckily, Tyler has picked one of those up.
Yeah, I mean, this is some great signs of life from the Montana team here, coming back from those early picks. Again, we saw Toast just trying to play from that palace position and get a little bit of information, hold for the pushes and so on. He is able to find the first one, and there's a second one. Frank coming out here in clutch. You don't need to take that battle. Oh boy, but 2 players with a whole 9 health between them. We saw the miracle from Internet before, and he finds it. Duck with a great choice to jump up on the boxes. Is going to come from that unexpected for Reshiram. And a little bit of an extra bullet there. That's going to be the first round for Montana, not just in this map, but in their whole series so far. That's got to be a huge relief for the Grizzlies.
At least some weight has been taken off of their shoulders. Also, I just realized that for some reason that since the overlay screws up itself, I love Lexigrind, by the way. Since it screws itself up, it actually gave the win to Montana in the first game. That's not the case. I'm gonna fix that really quick. Don't mind me.
While you're doing that, we're seeing Montana with hopefully some renewed and well-earned confidence, and that was not just their first round, but I think a really well-fought round. It was certainly something where they lost 2 players earlier. They battled back from it, and they did an excellent job there. Internet changing up their position a little bit. It's going to find Fuzzy Squid in the underpass there and go back into Con, where he's able to find Duck. So again, Internet just playing a little bit of everywhere. He's like, midfield in soccer, I'm going to go with. I don't really know. I'm going to say Christian McCaffrey in the NFL. Like, they can just do everything. He's playing every position on the CT side and doing an excellent job of that. While Montana, in a position where I think they have a sense of what they might want to be doing. It's looking like they might be trying for that A split, but the problem is there's not really any information that's going to give them comfort as they move out into those positions. So they're taking it very, very slowly, trying to figure out where these players are playing from. Frank spots out one of the players from the CT side all the way back there, and Rusherum is going to get a sense that someone's there. You see the utility coming out. It's a little bit later in the round. That's going to slow the University of Montana aggression as Cheney finds Toast. This is not looking good for the Montana side in trying to find their second round of the map.
That's a painful beginning, and a big pickle's been seen, so they still know it's the A side. With both players now being seen, that's just locked in. 10 seconds left. It's a guarantee as to what site. It's just a question of whether they're going to go, and the answer, they don't. With the bomb being seen, the op being taken out, there's really nothing that Montana could have done in this round. Did they even take these rifles away? Yes, a big pickle's taken care of. Frank will be very lucky if they stay alive through these engagements, and they will? Yeah, just barely.
They did. Yeah, that's a bit. I mean, that's a big save. That's the op that they were able to carry over. Not going to be a lot of support from them as you can kind of look down the list. There's just barely enough money for some pistols, and they're going to opt to just support the op, see if they can get anything from it. I mean, if they can recover a couple weapons, it's not going to be perfect, but Frank does find the early kill on a Reshiram, so that's going to open up mid a little bit. But Cheney pushing out that lurk smoke. Oh, Frank's going to see it, but he's going to win that battle. Cheney is not. Oh, he's just on the edge there. Oh, man, Frank with that 2K is a huge start to that round. That is a huge amount of utility for an otherwise save round. So that op worth its weight in gold, having been saved over from that previous round.
Signs of life now for Montana, double opener, and that can be guns recovered. The Glocks through the wall, somehow Frank is actually the one to die instead of, the armorless Glock, but that's okay. Fuzzy Squid will go and retrieve that op. So it is still on the board, but Villanova have at least brought it back to the man advantage, or the man equalization. I suppose on paper it could be a man advantage considering it's 2 Glocks and an op, or a Glock, a Deagle, and an op up against 3 rifles. Tubby, however, has seen one of those Glocks, and it's now back down to below half HP. So 3 players are combined, what, just shy of 150 health? Not the greatest for Montana.
But not... I mean, all things considered, we come into this, they have an op and 4 Glocks and just 2 armors, 1 helmet armor. So, I mean, I don't think that you would have expected a whole lot out of it. But they have found 2 kills there, and they are going towards the A site, which currently is the most open version of the site. You can see that both of the Villanova players, both Tubby and Tyler, are continuing to stay over into that position. So they find internet, which... It's internet, especially with that op pushing out there. That's going to give them an opportunity. Internet finds Big Pickle first. Toast and Squid still there, giving them opportunity, but they ran out of time. So unfortunately, that's going to be another round over to the Villanova side. That was a sound strategy to try to pull something out at the end there. And if they had been able to get the bomb down, take that extra cash every day of the week, save that op again. And this is a pretty strong 6th round for them.
Montana, again, trying the full save. I don't know how I feel about this because they just decided to go basically full save up again. It didn't work in the previous round, but they decided a little bit more aggression this time around. The problem is they've walked into internet, and apparently there's some health loss rather than packet loss on the Montana side because of that. Not the greatest of sites for them to walk in on. Internet now looking for an ace. Do they have it? 8 bullets? No. Frank decides no 5k for you, and oh my goodness, actually almost lined up 2. Still was able to find a kill and 90 health. This is a possible clutch now for Frank because Villanova's gotten a little over-aggressive.
The downside being that Montana did manage to get the bomb out onto site, which in some cases would be considered a win, but unfortunately, because you just have an op and 3 players on the Villanova side still alive, not going to be the best. And Villanova closing in on that, it's going to be Tubby that ultimately takes that op away from Frank. So we're going to go into round 7. I do think the choice to save, not ideal when you have an op that you've managed to save over 2 rounds, but you take what you can out of it. They are able to continue putting down damage, and you can see that reflected in some of the buy choices on the Villanova side. So not entirely useless, and Montana is now coming back into that bye. They're going to have to avoid these 2 ops now on the side of Villanova, both in very, very capable hands. So we're going to see what they can do for it. And Reshiram finds a big pickle. And what's worse, Big Pickle was carrying the bomb as they ran in front of boxes. So now that bomb is down. That's going to give Villanova all the permission in the world to just close in on that mid position.
And the problem is now both players have been seen from Montana. I'm not sure if there's a little over-aggression here from Villanova. You can see Texas Toast backing away a little bit. There's Cheney trying to go into underpass, and about 3 seconds from now, there should be a swing from below, but there's not. Now there's an opportunity. Montana's still in this 2 versus 4. By no means are they out of this round. Still AKs available. Texas Toast still on the board. Same with Frank, who is top fragging by a fairly large margin. But the fact that there's still 2 ops and the bomb is down, not boding well for Grizz.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people looking at that underpass position. I feel like that's they've kind of narrowed it down to where they probably were. And Cheney, I mean, Toast almost there could have had a really great flank and just caught some of the folks off guard. But Cheney, just being aware of that potential, goes back to that con position, holds top mid as Reshiram's trying to hold down that underpass. And so now it leaves just Frank alive. This is a very familiar situation as we've seen him be the last one alive for the last few rounds. But he's trying, and he does find 1. So if he can somehow manage to find even more utility for that, use that 33 HP that he's got to find 3 more kills, 11 HP per person, I think that's a reasonable allocation. He could make it happen.
Yeah, especially with just 10 seconds left. No worries whatsoever. He's
No
definitely got
problem.
this. Yeah, just has to pick up the bomb and or find 3 kills in, a second. Not going to happen, obviously. A little bit of satirical joking, but Villanova again with a round, and University of Montana, that's what, their 3rd of 7 rounds needing to save, if not more. And they're just, unfortunately, losing a few too many opening picks, not giving themselves the greatest of shots later on.
Yeah. I think one of the ways that they might be able to find more success out of this is they know Internet is playing on A site, right? He's been consistently there and consistently causing problems, which has been a whole different thing to talk about. But if they were to, for example, take mid fast, do that split B, rush through apartments where Villanova has generally only had 1 person, and you can see them getting really confident there. Tyler has already pushed all the way up to mid, so everybody on the Villanova team is going to be here on the safe site because they just know. So Montana's either got to make the decision, go hard and fast into any given bomb site. We see the opening kill on Tubby there. This is the first, I think, sign of life that we've seen from Montana in a moment, and immediately extinguished by Internet with a triple K.
This guy's just insane, and Reshiram somehow hitting Texas Toast as he falls off of Ticket Booth. The Brazil in scoreline as Villanova makes it a 7-1. And Internet just continues to exist. Brief look to the past, by the way. In our previous map, if I recall correctly, he had 24 kills in the first half. He, at a bare minimum, had 27 to end the game. He's already at 15, and we're only just starting round 9. So he's not stopping anytime soon. And he's looking for more. And he still wins the fight. Okay, dude. Okay.
There's a lot there. I mean, Montana, I think the last one, Montana, I think had the right idea, just the wrong site. And again, they've got to look at this from just sort of a stats perspective, where Internet has not lost an opening fight, I don't think, at all this map. And I think that probably is true, except for maybe 1 round on the previous map. So their chances are definitely better off picking wherever Internet is not. And Internet has not changed sites, and hopefully they've picked up on that as they've continued to go. So I would love to see them make that fast, aggressive move towards the B site, because as we've seen, there's been a couple rounds where they haven't necessarily been out of it. They've struggled, obviously, a little bit, but what has really killed them has been the clock, right? They get down to 20 seconds and they've got to rush towards the site. They don't have the opportunity to clear, and that's really caused some problems for them. But if they're able to move a little bit faster, a little bit more assertively into especially the B site, I think that that's going to give them a better chance. Not obviously a guarantee by any means, but certainly something there. Tubby making a name for them in the apartment side is going to shut it down. And now it's just going to be Pickle, who does have the lone kill this round. So maybe that's a recipe for a miracle, or maybe it's just Reshiram ready for him on Cat.
8-1 now for Villanova, as everybody else on Villanova actually starts to I suppose frag out a little bit more, not letting internet have all the fun. I was curious as to how well internet actually did in the previous game, because comparisons to the rest of the team are kind of important. So for some context, internet went 26-5, which is already insane. But when you factor in that nobody else was above 15, Cheney was at 15. That's just insane in and of itself. So he was above everybody else and already showing up, even if anybody else was at that number. And that was only in 16 rounds of play. Internet did already find a kill in this round, but he has fallen after doing an extra 50 damage to a big pickle, but it's really not going to matter, because it's a 4v2, and it's 400 health versus 150, with a lack of utility on the 150 side.
Yeah. It's worth noting here that Villanova is less known for this sort of, like, I refer to it as an oppressive aggression from the CT side. We're used to seeing that from, like, DePaul, Marquette. If you give them any indication that you're hesitating and using a long time to set up, they're just going to start sending people very consistently, very aggressive through Palace, through apartments, through mid, and they're going to catch you off guard a lot of the time. So that further reinforces the idea that if you're not already prepared to be aggressive in a particular position, that you're going to have to expect that they're going to push and try to pull something off. Like, they were able to get the refrag onto internet there. That's something that they have to continue to be aware from, or just push out onto the site. And that's exactly what they're doing. And if they get this opening kill, that's going to be the first good one. But Cheney from the connector position, followed up by Tubby Muffin, is going to make this a little bit more uncomfortable. They're missing that jungle smoke, and that's going to be a huge misplay for them without that smoke. That's just a free. Oh, they got the bomb down, though. All right, Duck, it's you in the MAC 10. You can do it, buddy.
Mine's one. Hold up. A missed shot, but a P250 available, and Duck runs out of ammo.
Those P250s are brutal.
Two sides of the coin to a MAC 10. Very high fire rate, decent damage output. The problem is a high fire rate and a lack of a large magazine, similar to that of the P90. It runs out of ammo fairly quickly.
It sure do.
Unfortunate.
He had a chance there. I mean, really, at that point, the name of the game was just delay. Unfortunately, that P250 is a really strong weapon, and it is one of my personal favorites. I get yelled at for buying it first round with a grenade every time, because that is not a sound strategy. But I do love that gun, and I'm not prepared to abandon it.
That's
all I have to say. That's all I have to say about that.
I mean, people probably yell at you less than they yell at me for bringing out a deagle with no utility or armor. So
yeah, a little less utility there. See, the meta is you gotta buy your armor and then have someone drop you dualies. You get 2 or 3 of those in good shape, and you're probably gonna win the round. Having those 40 bullets is excellent.
I like dualies, period, with or without a bought up armor. Best weapon in the game, because it's 2 weapons. It's a sequel.
There we go. Yeah, akimbo. I mean, it's Call of Duty meets a better game.
Yep. Call of Duty is a bad game. Just to clear that up, Call of Duty is very much a bad game. Everything after Black Ops 4, that's when we started reaching.
All right, let's not editorialize. Everybody loves Warzone. DMZ is fun. I'm all about that.
Are you okay? How much do they pay you for that?
Not enough. But I do mean that. It's because it comes from the fact that I'm just like terrible at Tarkov, and DMZ is accessible for old retired players like myself.
That's fair. Tubby Muffin.
Montana trying to make that. I think that they can do it. Just looking the wrong way. It's okay. Wait, did Cheney miss that?
He found a lot of kills on that feed. Though.
Okay, but there's still 2 players left on the Montana side. Oh, that's a risky plant. And he pulls it off. Hey, but take it wherever you can get it. I'm not complaining if I'm Montana at all. But just a little bit of that cake out there in the open is gonna give that opening for internet to find and remove Squid from the firebox there. So it's another round on the board for Villanova. They're gonna pick up. They're gonna opt for the AK instead of the op. That was a good choice.
I did not have Tyler was going to refer to a player's ass as cake on my bingo card for EGFC.
It's because we don't it's because we use PG terms on our family-friendly stream, Dan.
You can use that is PG. According to the Motion Picture Association of America, that word is PG. I don't care. Cheney finds an opening headshot. We have seen an auto sniper butt before round 15. They've broken CSGO bro code. Or CS bro code? I'm going to go with CS bro code. That's
Okay.
unfortunate. Yeah. Anyway, still finds an opening kill.
The player's code.
Yep.
I honestly, I was trying to make something about like it's firebox and it's cake, so like cake in the oven or something, but my brain doesn't work fast enough to get there. Instead, we're into round 13. Pretty, still relatively early in the round, but Montana loses a couple players early on in just some of those information gathering things. But they did find some success in Villanova pushing through. They've known about that. They're a little bit more prepared to deal with some of that aggression, and that was a great opportunity to just take advantage of the fact that Tyler had to check a lot of places pushing out there, and a little bit of off timing is going to give you a free kill. However, there are 2 players on the Montana team left, and there are 2 Villanova people on this site, and make that 1. So Fuzzy Squid is going to be the last person alive. Make that no one alive. Unfortunately, not quite the survivability that Frank has brought to the end of these rounds for the Montana team. So we're going to go to round 14 with 12 on the board for Villanova. It's feeling a little rough for the University of Montana, but they're not out of it. There's still 2 more rounds for them to win, and I believe that they can do it.
I mean, they had the buy, and they also have the utility. 2 full kits utility, now down to just 1, considering they have dedicated a little bit towards the A side, and they want to go, and understandably so. The problem is they're walking to an auto sniper that has a long angle all on the Palace.
Oh, no.
Cheney has 3, and a rush room with a
brutal.
sniper out. Internet finds the lone non-sniper kill in the round, and Villanova find 13 rounds. The University of Montana, that one hurt, and that's also most of your money.
I've been there. As someone on like a 20-game losing streak right now in CS.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it hurts. So I empathize. I do. And this is one of those matches.
They all have auto snipers.
Villanova has found a lot of success across the board. And obviously they're feeling themselves and how they're doing this. In Montana, playing for whatever position they look at all those angles.
I mean, the entire team's over there. So luckily, Montana's safe for the time being from the SCAR 20s. But we do have Internet rotating over. See how he sees. That's actually a really well-timed Molotov. There actually may be a good rotation off the back of this. Oh, they missed the smoke! No! Oh, this could hurt. Villanova is fully stacked in this site. They have 4 snipers on or around the site itself. Tyler finds the first onto a big pickle, and they're just all peppering in damage. Jumping in the line of sight is the Duck, who falls as well. Not the safest of avenues of attack here, unfortunately, for this University of Montana side. A follow-up nade, that one is a little bit late, so possibilities here for Montana, but a no-scope headshot through smoke from Tubby Muffin. I did not know you could find as many custom kill accolades, and Cheney crouch no-scopes Fuzzy Squid from 15 meters. So that was a round that happened. Oh, and I'm getting RTC connecting again. So Tyler, you're being cut off. Sorry, dude. This is I don't know why Discord's being like this, and I can't figure out what is continuously happening with it. We'll try a different voice channel, see if that one functions while Tyler attempts to hop in here. In the meantime, still pistol round. The University of Montana is losing as much as the overlay would like to deceive you. Villanova is taking this pistol round fairly well, hopefully looking a little bit better for Montana on the CT side. I hope we've gotten Tyler back, maybe.
You know, like we got me back.
There we go. There we go.
All right. I am holding on to hope here. And a great way to do it. Duck with a triple kill.
But a rush room with dualies. He finds 3 kills. There's another one under Palace. Cheney kills him as well. A combined 31 health for the 2 players remaining here on Villanova. The bomb plant may very well win them the round. That's a free kill, but information there. Frank with the dualies, flash first over top. There is not a kit available. So by no means is this a guaranteed round. Cheney is hiding, and trying to just wait in this corner. A flashbang around misses. Do they clear it? Yes, he does!
There we
Montana
go.
with the pistol.
Frank
The
Clement in
dream's
clutch.
alive. Valiant effort from Areshiram. Dualies guaranteeing themselves as the best weapons in Counter-Strike, as they combined five kills between the two teams, obviously. But hey, University of Montana, nice pistol round.
That's 2 rounds on the board, baby. Love that direction. That could be, you know what? I'm going to call it. It's the start of something. I hope that that continues, although I don't know if they're prepared for Villanova to just force directly into full rifles. You see some AKs and some Galils, and the dreaded LMG trying to do some work in mid there already. They're going to catch Frank as he jumps into the window, jumps out of the window into underpass. The Duck playing from a kind of a tough position with that length is going to find maybe the first or second kill. He goes down to Tubby Muffin. So Villanova with the automatic weapons is not taking a loss for an answer. So they're really going hard on this, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on Frank and Pickle. There's just not a lot for them to do. They've got auto shotties against AKs in some cases here.
I mean, auto shotties are better. See, Big Pickle finds one. Unfortunately, he's not going to check the top corner, and Tubby Muffin's going to return to center with an XM of their own. And Cheney is going to mow down Frank with the Negev. The laser comes back into fruition, and Villanova make it 15. By no means is this over, but Montana is up against the ropes, and unfortunately they bought after their pistol round victory, so they're going to be relinquished back to heavy weaponry or SMGs. 2 Negevs, 2 XMs, and an MP9. Wow.
I mean, the LMG, generally speaking, can have some pretty significant impacts if used correctly. And Frank, maybe you'll get, just one more there. Oh, man, if he had gotten 2 from there, that would have been huge, because already the Duck playing from that cheeky position close to apartments there does find some utility. That's going to leave Reshram with that Bison. So he's got to try to find one more at least. But Tubby, an expert with that LMG, just comes through, lasers down the Duck, and a Big Pickle finds the second one. All right, the LMG is working for Montana here. That's a 2v1 in favor of the Grizzlies.
Tyler has a sniper out, though. The Nova, you know, the most notable sniper in Counter-Strike. Totally not a long-range shotgun by any means. And for that exact reason, Pickle's down to 14 HP. That'll kill him. Wait a second, this round isn't over yet. Tyler's still in this, and with a shotgun no less, down to 1 HP is Fuzzy Squid. The hero may very well end up being he who wields a shotgun, and that's exactly the case. Villanova win it off the back of a Nova play. Ever so ironic, considering their namesake.
Took a second for that one.
Yeah.
It took me a second to register that. I understand, and I agree. Villanova did an excellent job there. I mean, we've seen the progression, the story arc of that team coming in last year, kind of having middling success, starting off a little cold in the beginning of the fall split, coming into, like weeks 1 through 3, I think. And then they started heating up, and then all of a sudden they're in the same conversation as UConn's, which UConn went from a pretty rough start in week 1 to now they're fighting with Marquette and DePaul for those top 3 slots as they continue to push back and forth. Marquette still being the only team to have taken a map off of DePaul as they continue their role of dominance as they have over the last year. But I mean, I like that these teams are trying new things, that they're changing profiles, that we're seeing those redemption arcs come through. And Montana, I imagine, is going to be another one of them. Rough day for them, 2-0 in favor of Villanova. Not a lot of rounds on the board, but certainly nothing to be discouraged about. They're playing a very good team. There's plenty of maps left in this split to play. So I'm very curious to see what they are going to do to make those adjustments in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at our statistics in terms of standings. I'm going to go over to it. Brief note, this is up to date other than Montana, which I was about to update, but then I figured, well, we just saw exactly what happened. Not really a requisite. TLDR, instead of being 0-2, they're 0-4, and they're minus 52 in terms of round differential after a 32-2 loss here today. On the other side, Villanova up at 68.5 or 68.75 win rate. They now have surpassed UConn, even with UConn's free win today over Idaho. And those two teams stay in neck and neck. In the last 3 weeks of play, including last week and all the way back into the fall, they have traded that 3rd and 4th spot back and forth. Marquette keeping that spot above because of 2 extra bye weeks, including last week. That will change this time as they play RIT. But the top 5 teams, they're pretty close to one another. RIT a little bit further than the rest, but by no means this is a done season.
Not at all. I think all these teams have an opportunity to do something amazing. And certainly that's what we hope for every time we come into these, looking at all these different opportunities. Every week is a fresh opportunity, right? So we've got lots of matches coming in for the rest of this. This is only week 10. There are 17 weeks to play in total. So lots of chances for all these teams to continue on whatever path that they are on. For some of those, we're hoping for a little bit more of a brighter latter half of the split than others. But then it all comes down to championships. So we'll see how those get played out. But very excited to see those coming up later this spring. So for the time being, we are done with this match. We're going to see if we can get RIT versus Marquette coming up in a moment. Before that, we'll see if we can get somebody from the Villanova team in here for an interview. Yes.
Tyler's in for the interview.
Tyler. Me. No, the other Tyler. Okay. Tyler's going to be the interviewed by Tyler. It'll be certainly not confusing at fair whatsoever.
No, especially when I say, hey, Tyler, I'm actually going to have to refer to you as Viking for the first time in a little while, so that'll be odd. But when that whole who's on first situation happens in a few minutes, we'll see in a little bit with the interview with Tyler, by Tyler, and yours truly. We'll see in a bit. Welcome back to the EGFC Season 4 CSGO coverage. It's a 2-0 victory for Villanova, and I'm here joined by Tyler Squared, Tyler the caster, who's Viking, and Tyler the player, who's actually just Tyler. But Tyler the caster, who's Viking, how, especially into this, did things fare for Tyler the player and company from Villanova?
I have no idea what you just said.
Well, moving past that, Tyler the player, how do you feel about the victory over top of Montana?
It was a quick one. I felt like a lot of my teammates were performing really well, and at least for the second map, I felt like I just wasn't doing anything because I was B anchor on Mirage, and I just didn't see anyone.
Blame internet.
My team performed. Yeah, I do blame internet.
Have you been building your strategy around the kind of the expectation that you have? I mean, like backing up, looking over your past match history across the board, obviously, like you've changed out some players from last year into this year, different weeks and so on. But have you found that there's been any benefit to building a game plan around a player like internet, or has it really just been sort of you're coming in with whatever particular, like default strategies you have, then adapting from that? Or are you continuing to stick from that and then it just happens that, like internet has a really on day?
37-12, by the way.
Yeah. I don't think we try to build strats around internet because I think that's not a really good game plan. If a player goes quiet, like you kind of fall flat.
Yeah.
But we've tended to stick to just kind of learning nade sets and learning strats and execute so that if a player like Cheney or Tyler do go quiet, we still have a game plan to go into matches with and can still hold our own.
Did you just refer to yourself in the third person?
Oh no, internet's name is also Tyler.
Okay. I was so confused. I was like, wait, aren't you Tyler? Okay, that caught me off guard for a second.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Although my in-game name is Tyler, in the Discord they actually refer to me by my last name, which gets even more confusing.
Is it also Tyler?
No, my last name's not.
Well, that's great. I mean, I totally agree with that strategy. It makes sense. And I mean, it's certainly a pleasure to watch when, somebody just takes over the server. There can be some really scary moments, obviously, if you're trying to shut that down as the opposing team. And speaking of opposing teams, I mean, you have been a team that historically has had decent results. Like last season ended kind of middle of the pack. This season, you're in contention for some of those top slots. You've had some tough matches in the fall. You have a couple tough matches coming up, starting with Marquette next week. Are you thinking about that positioning at all, or are there any specific things that you're trying to shore up in your game to make sure that, as you repeat, hopefully some of the results you've seen from the fall, or try to overtake some of those opponents that you fell a little short of, that kind of gives you the confidence going into the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think we're just trying to stay sharp for Marquette. Or did you say we're playing DePaul? Sorry.
Marquette,
Either way,
yes.
we're just trying to stay sharp, make sure we know our nade sets and our executes. Other than that, I don't think we do that much anti-stratting for any particular team. We want to, because we're in college, we don't have that much time, but we just want to stay sharp and make sure we know all our stuff.
Good, solid strategy. Good use of time for sure.
Mm-hmm. And the conversation about today, just really wrapping up this series. You guys won 32-2, 16-0, 16-2, but by no means was this a fully perfect, right out of the gates, you were winning everything. There were a few situations where internet, Reshiram, or even you had to clutch. Were there situations that you look back on and say, we could have done this specifically better? Because obviously Counter-Strike always a developing game. There's always something to learn. Is there something that you come out of this week learning from playing up against Montana?
Definitely some ego peaking. I feel like even though we were winning comfortably for most of the games, there were some instances where we would just kind of get kill hungry and just go looking for firefights that were probably disadvantageous, which in this game didn't impact us that much, but going forward, that could definitely like punish us if we develop some bad habits. So hopefully we'll sharpen that up and be ready for DePaul next week.
Whoever you play.
Okay.
Well,
you'll get there.
yeah,
whatever.
One more week from now. You believe it. I did have one question. I did have one question off of that. I think when we were looking at you playing on your first map in Overpass, I think generally speaking, we saw a more conservative approach. When we got closer to Mirage, I think at that point you developed a lot of confidence. We saw a lot more aggressive pushes. could you talk me a little bit through the decision-making process of that transition from the more conservative to the more aggressive? Because that's something that we generally see a little bit more from like a Marquette or DePaul, a little bit less from your squad so far. But was there anything that sort of triggered that, or was that just sort of a natural evolution of building confidence over time?
Yeah, I would say it's more of a natural evolution. We came into the first map wanting to play strong Counter Strike and make sure we weren't giving away anything dumb. And then as we built confidence against Montana, we just kind of felt more confident in taking riskier firefights and coming out on top. And we would take those firefights and come out on top, which just kind of further strengthened our confidence, and we just kept doing it.
Makes sense.
Well, a final question for you, as we always do. Anybody you want to shout out? Any final thoughts that you have on the series? Anything you want to say that isn't terrible or mean to Montana? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'll shout out my mom, my team, who is probably watching this interview right now, and Internet's sister, who watches every single one of our games.
Shout out to the
last
fans.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Appreciate you joining us, Tyler. Thank you very
He's our
much.
number one
We
fan.
also have a brief note from Tubby Muffin, who said he wants a team of all Tylers, which I definitely agree on. Viking, unfortunately, you're going to have to take a step away from tournament organizing and being an admin. You're going to have to play on Villanova now. I know the transfer from RIT to Villanova wasn't really expected for you, but it has to happen. Sorry. I know it wasn't.
Got to come out of retirement eventually, I guess.
Tyler, the player, thank you very much for joining us. And again, congratulations on the victory.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, Viking, into our possible second series. A brief note about that, by the way. RIT apparently is having some technical issues and there's no possibility of a sub. So there is a small possibility that we do not have a last series for the day. But to wrap up this one, final thoughts from you, because Montana in a lot of these rounds looked good. It was just either starting off really poorly or finishing off not the greatest that really hurt them in the end.
I think there's a couple obvious points, a lot of it coming down to I guess you describe it as like an adaptation through the progression where in some cases it was like you got to learn the lesson, don't go towards internet's bomb site or whoever the stand-in is in any given map that's on that hot streak. Or in other cases I think they sort of fell into that we're in a default and we're not really getting a lot of information off of that, or somebody goes down or we get that opening kill but we're not really in the position to transfer to a particular bomb site or otherwise. So a little bit more crispness, or a little bit more assertiveness, or just a little faster decision making in some of those, I think would do a lot. I think the mechanics, generally speaking, are there. A little bit cleaning up on some of those executes, and I think that we're going to see some map wins for them very soon.
Development from Montana, especially through that series as a whole. Hopefully that comes through later on in the season. We're going to take a step away. Either technical issues will subside and we will indeed have a second, technically third series on the day between RIT and Marquette, or that's unfortunately not going to be the case and we're going to raid one of our sister channels. In the meantime, if you'd like to still see some EGFC action, twitch.tv/official EGF3 has some Valorant running, the lesser of the two first-person shooters in my personal opinion, but you can watch it if you please. It's actually still RIT playing, but they're taking on the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. In the meantime, we're going to take a break, hopefully have a final series of the day. If we do, we'll see you then. If not, that's it for us. We'll determine when we do, hopefully in the later stage of the stream. We'll see you in a bit, maybe. So our final game of the day is actually happening. It's Marquette taking on the Rochester Institute of Technology, as RIT has found a sub rather than subsided their technical issues. Regardless, the game's happening. I'm Time to Light. Joined alongside me is Viking for our Season 10 matchup of our two squads. And Marquette the favored coming into this, but by no means is RIT completely out of the series to start.
Very true. RIT had a pretty strong showing last week as they kicked off against Idaho, another new team to the league. Today they are playing with a sub, one of their heavy hitters from one of their other squads. So we're going to see what kind of impact that has for it. I mean, obviously, you get the benefits of the mechanics that come with people that are high level in Face It. They're Face It level 10, really strong in a lot of the sort of expectations around mechanics there. But if they haven't played with the team before in any extensive period, there's a chemistry component, timing, a variety of things that can create some small openings that Marquette is certainly known to exploit. And on the side of Marquette, there are plenty of heavy hitters that we've seen do some incredible damage over the course of the season, over the course of the last 2 seasons, even. So we'll see which one kind of balances out. But I think this should be a pretty good match. And RIT, coming from the lower half of the standings, I mean, this could be an opportunity for them to really make a statement.
And a brief note, we're going to get into the game. Map number 2 is Anubis. It's not cache, but I don't have a cache or an Anubis file. So in between maps 1 and 2, I'm going to try and sort that out because kind of need that for map 2. That or we're just going to use the default overlay. We'll figure out when we get there. But map number 1 is Mirage. It is the map selection of RIT. I like their decision to go here. By no means is this a great map for Marquette. I mean, a lot of maps are great maps for Marquette because they don't lose very often. But this isn't one of the ones where you say, oh yeah, hey, Marquette, what map you picking? The answer is never Mirage. It's usually like Nuke, or in this situation,
or
Anubis.
Ancient, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, since we added that to the rotation after we removed us 2 at the end of last year, it's been sort of a question of when, not if. So I'm excited to see it. We haven't obviously had a chance to see it here, and so we'll see how that goes.
Well, aggression from RIT. They've decided the B rush is the call, and it's gone 1 for 1 to start. Alter a follow-up, but Ningso immediately brings one back. Alter drops Hobo Job sitting inside of the apartments, and that's the bomb as well. Big disadvantage for RIT. They have to cross vertically while 3 players are watching that general direction. Migs is fairly low, but Detrect is immediately, well, wrecked. And it's not looking great for RIT in this pistol round. The aggression from Migs, he walks out even without armor or much health, still is able to drop Ningso, and Marquette win the pistol.
It's noteworthy here also on the Marquette side. We talked about the sub for RIT already, but Marquette actually bringing in 2 subs this week. We've got Kroatify and Frud. Both of them are new to the roster and relatively new, well, certainly to this game. So kind of an unknown. We talked a lot about the mechanics, the back and forth, and the opportunities there, but it's uncertain as to what sort of impact these different teams are going to have, just because we don't have a lot of data on them. We're really relying on the performances that we've seen from players like Ace, Alter, and Migs, all very strong. Alter especially on that op, and we can see a lot of aggression going here is going to pay off for Alter. As I mentioned, that Getrect is going to drop the bomb, but Ningso coming from that flank underpass is going to find Alter, so that's an M4 off the field for them, and there's just continuing battles playing out across that. So far, Marquette on the upside.
4 versus 3, and RIT still trying to play aggressive. Migs cycles out for the M4 as he falls away. Still trying to play aggressive, but use the FAMAS just to initiate that aggression for the time being. And then they've backed away. The disengage from Marquette, they do not want to over-aggress at this point. Ningso has retrieved that dropped FAMAS, so by no means is this round over, but oh, nice closet angle. Ace is still taken care of, and it's drawn right back to even.
These are the exciting rounds because you go into this looking at the equipment that they've got and say like, all right, well, they've just got Glocks. What real chance do they have? But if you extend this out and you kind of force some of these either rotations or some of these weird off angles, like the Glock got a lot of bullets in it, you can do some pretty significant damage for it. And as soon as you get, especially something like an MP9, which just has a ton of utility, you can really make something happen. So something that should have been an easy mathematical win turns into something that at least is a little scary. But unfortunately, they don't check the under Raptors position there, and Kroatify brings his kill count up to 3 for that round, closes that out, and it's going to be another round on the board for Marquette.
That's not the cleanest of victories I think Marquette were looking for, but still keeping 3 players alive and making sure those rifles are saved over is a pretty good notion for them. It dropped FAMAS over to Ace, who fell in an unfortunate situation over in Connector in the previous round. Still means it's a fairly full buy. Alter really the only caveat to that conversation. They still have a scout out, and they still find Chu Tang. Swings a little bit before the smoke fully plumes and the flash goes off, so a fully blind shot and a shot through smoke with a scout will find one, but get wrecked an immediate double to return. So Migs taken care of, and Marquette have lost their man advantage, and then it's been evened up because Frud finds the free kill and to get wrecked.
We found ourselves back in that 3v3 position, but this time RIT with armor, which is, I think, a key difference maker for a lot of these 1v1s. I mean, Alter is one of those people where you can't give them any opening with any scoped rifle. The scout obviously being as effective in that case as an op would be. And that's really just those really small details that you have to deal with. You have to make sure that the smoke pops before you go and all these types of things. MJB making their debut, getting on the board with that opening kill on a Croatify as they move to take that A site. That's Ticket Booth down. Fred coming in from behind is going to try to find somebody through that connector area. Does not find anybody to connect with just yet. He's going for that ladder position, and Hobo Joe sees him coming up through that and takes Fred off of the board. So that's going to leave just Alter with that scout. We mentioned he's real dangerous, but is he dangerous enough to take on 3 AKs? Seems unlikely, but he's going to give it his best shot. And if he can take one off the board, wow, that is already a ton of utility for that $1,700 rifle. And I mean, not out of the question that he could find another one. I don't think he's going to get the round at this point, but hey, do the damage you can with what you got, and try to make sure that you're setting yourself up as well as the rest of your team for the rest of the general benefit of your team going into the next couple of rounds.
That, kids, is what we call a heat check. The headshot with a scout. I don't think they recover a AK there, so Alter will still just keep the scout over, but I don't think they're too upset about that. Marquette's still able to buy, at least, well, on 2, maybe 3 players. This shouldn't be an investment. If I'm Marquette here, I'm deciding just player on the scout, but obviously I'm not Marquette, so they don't.
That's a fair assertion. Absolutely. I think RIT is in a great position here. Obviously, they've got full AKs. They're running into a couple people. They choose not to smoke the top of Cat there and just go out dry. And this time, Alter misses that shot, which is going to get forced off as that window smoke starts to go out. But Croatify continuing to lock down that ticket position is going to find Get Wrecked in mid. So RIT in a little bit of disarray, considering that their opening seemed to be a little bit more concentrated, but they are picking up the kills, and that's ultimately what matters. So they've got the man advantage here. Ultra coming through is just continuing to be that solid anchor, and I would not be surprised if he ends up as the opportunity as the last player on the board. But for the time being, he's equalized it. Marquette at 3 players. Fred, Croatify, and Alter are left. 2 players towards that A site. But RIT slowly making their way towards the B site. And if they play this with the right timing, a little bit of extra effort and a little bit of pressure, Fred's out of position. This could go very well for the Tigers.
Fred finds 1, though, and is able to immediately transition. The sound cues have given over, and Fred's able to transition, finds a second as well, looking for a third, sees MJB, who's only on 22 HP, who does find at least a first. The drop onto the site has the bomb and some time to work with. By no means is this round over, but the problem is the timing may very well just not go their way. Aware of a possible flank, trying to clear out that Market position, Alter shoots. It gives away the fact they're sitting in Market, but still no-scopes him. What is that from Alter? And Marquette regain their 2-round lead in an odd way, to say the very least. I'm actually curious as to what they just put in chat. Yeah, that's Migs. Understandable.
It's a little bit of disbelief there. I mean, we talked about how Internet, obviously on a hot streak, almost the entirety of both games in the previous series. Alter definitely plays that role frequently here, and you see that just from what he's able to do. Doesn't matter that he's blind. He knows that positioning, and he's going to get that kill. And again, RIT just slightly off on the timing there, waiting just 2 seconds too soon for that smoke to pop. Flash in that case, and ultimately he's going to come up as a net negative. Marquette, so far, making easy work of this eco round from RIT is going to leave just MJB, that sub that we talked about earlier, in with that deagle. No armor, though, so it's going to be a pretty tall order, but Ace is low health, so there's at least the possibility for a one-shot on one of the 5 players still remaining. You can see MJB making his way back towards that Ace site, trying to take advantage of the fact that he hasn't been seen in a while, so that might give him the opportunity to pop out, find a kill, but there are 3 players from Marquette, all trained on different entries into that site. That flash is not going to do him any favors, and Alter just continues to raise his body count, now up to 9-1. He is absolutely on a streak.
Not slowing down. Internet, you have a challenger, and his name is Alter. Maybe your alter ego.
Wow.
I'll see myself out.
Please do.
It is still astounding.
It
to
is.
see.
I like the direction that Marquette's going here. RIT, I like that they're changing things up. Again, it's just been some of those small things that have made the difference. And Marquette generally pretty like tight on everything that they do for their executions. That in a great opportunity, Get Wrecked wins that duel against Migs. That's one of the Marquette leaders, in this case the captain, off the board for the CS team. So that's a better start than they've had the last couple of rounds.
You can still see that RIT are playing fairly aggressive, especially with that kill into Migs, but a little over-aggression. Lack of help, and Ace is able to find a free kill. No trade is there, but there's still a possibility as Catwalk is still occupied. They've transitioned around towards that stairs position, and Ace finally taken care of, but there's still the trades there. Alter, with the op, has to switch to the Tech 9, but is still looking to frag out, and will do so as well from seemingly a country mile away, however. Tech 9 seemingly the less advantageous of the two weapons. And it's just the 1v1. Gratify up against the sub, and MJB is sent down to the basement. 6 feet under, be more specific. Gratify cleans up, and Marquette find a fifth.
A notable round from MJB, who had been pretty quiet up to that point, but finding a triple kill in a round is a great statement to get everybody back into that notion of, all right, we're here to show up. It was a very close end of the round. Just that single 1v1 ultimately doesn't go in favor of the Tigers, but it does give them a little bit more confidence going forward. I think, I mean, like they showed obviously that they can hang with this. They've got their one round on the board, so 4-round difference isn't that big of a deal, especially this early into the game. So we're going to see if they can win that. But Migs, not excited about the fact that he lost that duel the previous round, goes out, gets his revenge on Get Wrecked. So that's going to leave RIT down one early in the round. As you can see, some of them starting to push out, but Alter there to back up his teammates, finds Chu Tang. That Tetris player is not long for this world as he's doing his best, but doing so goes down to Credify, who's playing that ticket position so well. We've seen, I think, 4 or 5 kills just from there, almost his entire frag count from there. And here he finds another one. That's a very just slow drip of RIT players coming out there and kind of sacrificing themselves to the Marquette gods there.
It still seems like RIT are playing a little bit over-aggressive when trying to encroach on the sites, and a little bit separate from one another. In the previous round, they were still playing together, but they weren't playing with trades, it was just everybody walking out at the exact same time. Into this next round, especially considering they're going to be buying, I'd like to see them pick a site, stick to it, and fully execute as a squad with at least possibilities of trades, because Marquette has, on a consistent basis, put themselves in advantageous positions, and RIT, you can see it really being torn apart because of it. That adjustability from RIT is really what's going to set them apart and possibly bring them further into this top 4.
Very true. I do think that the potential difference is RIT so far has defaulted a lot. They haven't gone for the full execute. They're making that adjustment here. You can see them lining up for that A site. We see that Get Wrecked on their side, pushing underpass, one of my favorite positions to play to try to get a little bit of that flank, and he wins that battle against Ace. So that's going to give them a little bit more confidence as the smokes start to rain in on that A site. It's going to force Credify back. He throws out the nade and finds a little bit of damage onto Chu Tang. Get Wrecked pretty low as he tries to come back to join the rest of his teammates, and Migs is smart to it. He's going to find that kill before he goes to help out on the A site. That's going to leave 3 players left on the Marquette team. MJB getting aggressive going into spawn. This is looking very good for the RIT team so far, but it's up to Frud and Migs to see if they can make anything out of this round that is so far gone in favor of RIT.
This honestly may very well be an RIT round as well, because with how far away they are from the site and the fact that Chutang's actually watching the ladder, that's the round in and of itself. Migs is in a 1 versus 4, and with an M4, there's a dream. Wait a second. He slipped the gap. He's going for a ninja defuse, and it may very well work. He has a defuse kit, but he's been seen. He may be able to tap this and stick it all the way through, though. I don't think there's enough time for them to see him. He's going to stick it. He doesn't get it, though. Oh, he would have had the time. MJB. Half a second, and Marquette win that round. Migs is fuming. Migs is fuming. I guarantee it.
I think if he got killed there at the end, and I think that if he didn't, he still walks away from that. So just a little bit more utility, like a smoke or an extra flash or something, just to delay that just the tiniest bit. And that would have been the 7th round for Marquette. But RIT's got to feel good about that. Mostly a little scary there at the end, but they got the 2nd round on, and that's what's important. And they found, I think most importantly, that executing together as a team as opposed to spreading out for those defaults seems to be the way to go. So Alter, suspicious of somebody maybe being in the window, and there it is, Chutang dropping down from the sawhorse there, just finds the end of the barrel and loses his head entirely. So now Get Wrecked finds revenge for Alter, and now this is going to be potentially an execute onto the B site, but it's stopped cold by Migs. So frags flying everywhere on both sides, going to leave both of them with 3 players apiece, and everybody's spread out all over the place with a little bit of a bias towards the B site for the Marquette side. They're going to pick up that op, which is going to give them potentially one of the round-defining tools for them. I like RIT's chances to get something out here because we've just got Croatify over at Ticket Booth, and RIT is already out. But that op watching cross is going to be very dangerous.
They've already passed it, though. There's a possibility they take this. Ningso sitting inside of this jungle position, being cleared by the vents, but it's not fully so. And Croatify is being held inside of this CT position. But there goes Hobo. It's MJB to find a refrag, but it's Migs again left alone. Op in hand, has to clear both jungle and or now CT, and that palace / triple position. MJB on the backside of default, 95 damage done. Migs is a sliver of health, and that should be the save. An op on the board, certainly one-shot potential, but it's just the potential, and Marquette don't want to give away the rounds. That's Migs saving, and RIT picking up their third.
It's a smart choice. It'll still give them a weapon to hold down mid. Probably, I assume they're going to give that over to Alter as they go through, but if Migs gets caught, I mean, they're not going to get to him in time, so it'll be all right. So they're going to carry that round over, that op over into the next round. They're going to give it to Alter and see what kind of damage they can do in mid. If I'm RIT, we know that they're pretty low on money, that they've still got that op, so we're going to, in my opinion, you default quickly to one site or the other. I don't think it really matters all that much which one you're going to go for. You just want to avoid any potential loss of life to that side. That being said, all of that was completely wrong because Migs decides to hold on to the op and he goes to anchor B, which could be a pretty nasty surprise for the players starting to move that. That's Ningso looking over into those B apps. But so far, no contact, and RIT's kind of all over the place. I think they got a sense that Marquette was stacking the B site. I don't know if they're expecting the op to be here, and Migs, oh man, he's got to back up because of that smoke, and he might get overwhelmed here. But if the RIT team starts to filter in one by one, especially considering there's only 2 in apartments right now, RIT has got to come together if they're going to take this out. Right now, they're just kind of giving Marquette the opportunity to get back into it. There it is. Alter finds Get Wrecked, and now it's a 3v3, and that op on the board with the Deagle might as well be, a full rifle ensemble.
Problem is, Migs is on the wrong side of the map, much less the wrong side of the site. Croatify sitting inside of heaven, may be able to find a free kill here, misses a few shots, but still has the opportunity to find the frag and does just that. Chutang, from inside of the jungle, takes a decent bit of damage and is dropped because of it. Alter with the Deagle out, finds one. It's down to a 1 versus 2, but he's seen! An Alter through the wall, insult to injury. Chutang was a sliver of health, but a headshot will do it. And Marquette bring back an op-only buy with 4 USPs and a Deagle, or 3 USPs and a Deagle, I guess, into a round victory. What a round. What a victory.
Everything indicated an RIT win there. I mean, like, they had a lot of those early frags. I think they were in good position, but it all broke down because you could see as they were getting some of those frags, they got the information that Marquette was stacking on the A site, that they probably had 1 or no people on B. They didn't make a decision. They were just running around, continuing to stay in those default positions. They got too close, and they were giving away the tags to Alter with those pistols. There's a bunch of people just not in a position to make that. But Migs missing 2 big shots there is going to get him run down potentially. He's somehow still alive, and he's holding that angle with the op. He doesn't manage to get it, so he is going to go down to Get Wrecked finally, but only after getting 2 kills. So now RIT finally getting down to that 2v1, and they have a clear advantage, but it's Croatify coming over from the A site with that M4, and I don't think they realize how close he is yet.
He's again forced into a clutch, knows that there's 2 players on either side, and actually finds a second kill. He's up against an op as well. Now's the opportunity, and he finds a kill as well! It was the op that won in the round, and Marquette find an 8th. Back-to-back rounds where later on you look at it and say there's no shot that Marquette walk away with a victory, and then they do so anyway, and also save an op in both instances. That's insane.
I 100% believe that this should be a 6-5 map right now
Yeah.
in favor of
Yeah.
Marquette, but
Easily.
It's really tough. You get into those situations, they're high pressure. There's a lot going on, and you're low health. And especially if you're dealing with an op, and the jiggle peak is a really powerful tool that can happen. But in a 2v1, you can't be giving up that type of situation. Like, you gotta repeat your friend on cat there. Like, you just can't give up the free kill without something in that situation.
Well,
As I say
2
that,
opening
RT
kills.
making good progress, so maybe they're out for that revenge, that redemption.
Sure just sitting inside a market, because sure, that happens. And Alter turns 90 degrees and is able to quickscope him, because he's Alter, and you'd expect nothing less. It's a 2 versus 3. Catwalk control is there mostly for this Marquette University side. They still have to clear out Get Right, ironically, as Get Wrecked is currently dead. But Ace has contained that and is immediately dead. Hobo Job, the aggressor on that one, and MJB finds the timing into Alter, who turns around. Finally, Marquette have had that op stripped away, and RIT have really broken the bank, considering it's back-to-back rounds where clutches were required, and Migs is the only one with money.
I like that response very much. I mean, I think that we were getting to the point where we couldn't really, if you're RIT and you can't let that Marquette continue to rack up rounds if you have any inclination to really come back in their CT side, and they did exactly what they needed to. I think the difference was the pacing was a lot better. Their confidence was better in terms of how they were executing, and they were just hitting their shots. They still had a couple of scary moments, like Alter, if he had been allowed to run free. Jeez,
Oh my
you
gosh.
look at that kid, he just casually turning and one-shotting Chutang as he comes out of Palace there. That's just the danger of all of these players, and they're playing in these off angles. You can see Migs played up so far around that smoke that who would expect him to be there? That's just Marquette playing that aggressive game, trying to throw people off of whatever plan footing they had, and that leaves RIT once again at equal power. That given it's just, and I say this with a huge grain of salt, just a deagle, 2 deagles rather. So still a ways for RIT to go to win this, but it's so far at least it. I was gonna say it looks good, but then Croatify comes through with that with that deagle kill again. So now it's who's gonna get
Finally.
what? And oh my god, my brain is just like all over the place because every time I think that one team has the advantage, it devolves entirely again.
I can't believe it. A round has ended the way it probably should have.
Yeah.
For the first
We're all
time
about
in
subverting
forever.
expectations here.
Yeah, apparently. Oh my gosh. Well, there's your 5 scoreline for RIT, just in a more normal way, I suppose. Marquette, they're back on pistols. It is 3 USPs, a 5.7, and a deagle up against 5 AKs. And they just hold W through mid. Get Wrecked has expended a full belt of utility just to try and negate this pressure. He's found 2, looking for a third. Has at least seen the outline, is looking for the frag as well, and unsurprisingly will find it. Bomb plant for RIT, and wow.
That's got to be
Alter's
very... That definitely should have been a kill for him. That box saved MJB's life there completely. Oh, Migs.
What the Migs? How did he live as long as he did? Okay.
I guess the blessing that gives them the ability to click heads has subsided for the Marquette team, so their buff is maybe run out. And RIT looking really good over the last couple of rounds. I mean, again, we're dealing with eco rounds on the Marquette side, so there's always a little bit of a grain of salt there. But the important thing is they didn't collapse to the mid rush, which definitely is something that I think a lot of teams have gotten caught out against Marquette with, or any other team for that matter. So RIT's got to be feeling pretty good about this. They're in a position where there isn't a huge gap. If they win this, it's 8-7, and they're going to the CT side. So if I'm the Tigers, I'm feeling pretty good about this, and you just got to do your best to not throw this last round.
Just don't throw, Forehead. That's all Tyler has to say. Migs still sitting inside a connector. He threw, Forehead. MJB found a double, and the first one understandable. The second one, just lack of communication, lack of reactability. I think Migs was a little focused on the top of mid as well. Unfortunate turn of events for him, and oh, this is a free kill. Ningso finds it. Not a second, though, and it's now a 2 versus 2. What are these rounds? Are we in the Matrix? Did somebody put a glitch somewhere? Is there malware in Faceit? Did I miss a memo?
I think it's felt kind of dare I say puggy, because like in some cases there's been some coherent obvious strategies of like, okay, we're doing an AX key, we're doing a B split, whatever, but otherwise there's been a lot of just like defaulting and a lot of reliance on one person from one team being able to outplay one person on the other team. And then it's just been a matter of like, if we all come together at the end, who gets to wear first. And it's been less about those direct uh like spray competitions so much as just like who's in the right position at the right time, and trying to force some of those kind of oddities that happen in those circumstances. So RIT has overcome a lot of those so far, but they still have a lot to do. Hobo Joe able to make this a 1v1, but it's Alter with the op, and oh no, he knows where he is, and oh,
My.
you never want to try to jump those gaps when you got that kid on the scoped weapon. That is an unsurprising end to that given the circumstances, but man, huge credit to Alter for just being so rock solid on everything that he does there.
Marquette make it a 9-6 halftime split, and again are leading. But RIT are a little bit closer than honestly I was thinking. I was thinking there was going to be like a 10-5, 11-4, especially because it's the CT side. I can't say I'm too surprised by RIT bringing this back, but the way in which they did after losing back-to-back rounds in that fashion, that shows a lot of heart that the Tigers, I think, we're missing a little bit the first half of this season. So I'm happy to see it now as the spring split's coming through.
Yeah. And MJB coming through 13 frags on the board next to Get Wrecked with his 11. I mean, there's like obvious impact from just having good players mechanically there, and they start to see that as you get a couple of those shots coming into it. Chutang able to find one before going down. That's a good 1-for-1 trade. Still players left on the RIT side able to shut down the aggression from Marquette coming into that B side on their opening round. Nothing fancy about it. They just try to go for it, and RIT being able to take advantage of that that distance advantage from the USP shuts that down immediately. So they're now on their way to a pretty good space. Again, RIT is on the CT side now, so they're still down 2 rounds to Marquette on the attacking side with 9, but not a bad position for them to be in as they try to close that gap.
Gap narrowing, and this round should be fairly clean for them. The extent of what they have to worry about is a fake towards B and a bomb plant of A, and Migs having a Tech 9. So those two things. I think they're gonna fake the fake. No, here's the plan. So they're gonna run out A. They're gonna think it's a fake, and everybody's gonna rotate to B, and then Migs is gonna wait 10 seconds and then run out A and hope there's only one player left. This is such a genius call from Marquette. The problem is they haven't seen the bomb on B, so Hobo Job should know that A is the call. Everybody's dead on B. There's the trigger to everybody run back to A, and Hobo Job finds the kill. Good theory crafting for Marquette. Almost.
I did. I like that a lot. That was a good one. That's something worth putting in the notes.
Is that the please tell me that's the new post pistol round loss Colorado up B connector on overpass to go A in the pistol round.
Could be. I mean, I like that strategy, and for a team that's not super disciplined or just not quite complete in their communications of, hey, we don't see the bomb, I could 100% see that working. No one expects the double fake.
I'm actually really surprised that they still kept the player there, because usually even in an organized, like, fully pro team, you're saying, oh, hey, they faked A, they're all going B, everybody rotates. Every time. So yeah. Really good discipline from RIT. I have to say I am pleasantly surprised by that hold on A. Hobo Joe holding things down.
It paid off for them. I mean, 9-8 is feeling pretty good. They're hanging on with one of the top teams in the league there, and it's, I mean, the subs from Marquette are coming in, and we call them subs as if, you know, that makes difference, but we can see both Croatify and Frud, Croatify especially playing from that ticket position, huge impact. Like, you know, frag leader on their team outside of Alter, who's just like in a league of his own all the time. So I mean, they got to be feeling good about that performance, and RIT coming back and still staying in this, despite the fact that statistically we would expect Marquette to be favored. This is exciting. I love how we're seeing the scoreline coming together, and we're seeing a lot of interesting matchups. Chutang using the FAMAS to win out against the op, man. a lot of unexpected things happening here today.
And Ace is on just 10 HP, but he's taking gunfights and somehow still winning them. Hobo Job taking out Frud. That should not have been as close as it was. They really should have tried to get a bomb plant there. The problem is a lack of CT control really cost them in the long term. And RIT has tied the game against Marquette. I did not have that one on my bingo card either.
I feel like you're just not a great bingo player today.
I'm really bad.
Or bingo organizer? I don't know. I guess you don't make your bingo card. But I don't know how the intricacies of that game work. I'm a Counter-Strike commentator. So RIT got to feel really good about their positioning. They're gonna play from this position in connector, and that's gonna net them 3 kills both from Cat and connector as Marquette tries something to be aggressive. But RIT just all the reads, all the aggression, no fear about anything. They know where the last player is. Get wrecked. Another quick flick is going to in a sense of poetic irony, the opper is opt by a different opper. So RIT in the lead. First time, I think, ever against Marquette in a matchup between the two teams. And Marquette, so far, just hasn't been able to find an answer to what RIT's been able to put together. They've got quite a few unanswered rounds on the board at this point.
4 straight for RIT, if not 5 going back to the first half. I don't know. They've got a certain amount of rounds, and it has been unanswered by Marquette. That exact integer TBD, we'll find out at the end of the game. But they've also found another opening pick. Croatify was looking really good in the first half, and has done a whole lot of nothing in the second half because he's just been shut down every single time.
I think it's difference of playing from a stationary perspective where it's a lot more predictable and you kind of pick out your vectors, and as long as you're comfortable with that, it's pretty good. But the playing on the T side is such a fluid situation where Alter just gets a pick there, like what do you do from it? And that's what separates the good teams from the great teams. Or in this case, the lower part of the standings from the upper. We've seen how when we were watching Montana play the same map, they had some of those early wins, but ran into a situation of just not really knowing what to react to and build off of from there. And so Marquette a little bit better at that, but RIT there to take advantage of it. I don't think they had any idea that MJB had moved up into con, so that's a free kill over to the Tigers and Marquette down to just 2 players. But one of those 2 players is Alter. He does have an op. There is a lot of round left to be played with just those 2 factors in play.
Seems like B is a call. This is the correct call on paper. There is only Ningso, who only has an MP9. The flashbang does land, so Ningso's stuck under. They're going to fully clear this, but Ace doesn't know he's fully flung around to the backside of sight, playing a ring around the Rosie with these pillars. And low HP for Ace, it works out perfectly. That should be the round. 9 seconds left. Alter is to save the op. Yep. RIT up 2 rounds on Mirage. And Marquette's T side... let's see, how many rounds? 1, 2, 3, 0. 0 rounds on the T side thus far.
Yeah. Ningso played that perfectly. I mean, the goal there is at the very least stay alive so your teammate can rotate. They're on the other side of the map. You got to buy as much time as you possibly can. The best option, obviously, is get the frag, and that's exactly what he did. You play ring around the Rosie. That MP9 at shared distance is so impactful. The fire rate of it is just so high. It does not matter what the other person has in terms of armor. You can still rip right through it with those 30 bullets. So I love the way that was played. I love the fact that RIT is continuing to play with confidence, but in a way that is not overconfidence. We heard Villanova talking about that in the interview before this. Some of those eco frags can cost you. So far, RIT staying grounded, staying on for that. Get wrecked. Just peeks out of stairs as that smoke is about to pop and gets Migs. There's no jungle smoke here, which is going to allow NJB to flank around that. That's a 3rd kill on the board here. RIT just cleaning up, like shooting fish in a barrel, and just any aggression from the Marquette side completely shut down. And Alter finds a consolation prize, but at the end of the day, it does not matter because RIT have found their 12th round.
6 straight for the Tigers, and Marquette cannot answer. Again, they will have to half buy Deagle's sparse armor and a Galil for Frud. They'll all be able to buy in the next round, but that's basically giving up 13 unless Alter decides to continually frag out with the Deagle again. By the way, Alter's on 25 kills. Just thought I'd mention that one. Still a notable, but less notable than Internet the previous game because he did it in 16 rounds.
I normally would have thought that just kind of based on how things have been going, that one of the answers would be aggression from Marquette. They're usually pretty successful with that as they play through defense or offense for that matter. But they tried that a couple times, and RIT was prepared for it and got shut down. You're talking about Alter fragging out with the Deagle there, and that's definitely one, and that's the second from Migs. So getting a lot of utility out of the little bit of money that they put into it. So if Alter can find this, they have the beast. They almost have the B side, I should say. And I am just continuously impressed with what both of these teams have been able to do with very little. And Biggs coming in off Cat's going to get the flank. Hobo trying to cover two angles at once is never a good recipe for success. So Miggs comes in clutch for Marquette, is going to be the first round of their T site. He's going to close that gap to just 2 rounds. RIT in no unpleasant position. They got plenty of money, certainly no lack of confidence for where they ended up there. The real question is whether Marquette is going to be able to take that 1 round win and turn that into real momentum, or if RIT is going to say, all right, you got your 1 and that's it. We're going to win out from here.
Negative thing for RIT is that they lost the round off the back of a mostly save for Marquette, which means this buy, even though it's a full reinvestment, still gives them a little bit of money over top. Migs and Alter, notably. And if Marquette win this and continually start to build that economy, that's when RIT are going to be starting to go against a meat grinder. You can see it's full rifles for them, 2 ops, sure, but you only have 2, maybe 3 players who can buy in the next round, and by no means is that something you want to risk every time. Oh my goodness! Ace just violated MJB. That's cruel. Ningso left alone.
Anybody else? I mean, dang. But he plays the smoke there. I mean, that's going to keep him alive, and he finds the first kill. So that's super important. Again, it's just do as much damage as you can, buy as much as you can. And so far, they haven't been able to take him out. He's still alive back there. Migs
1 HP.
Trying to spread through the smoke. He hasn't been able to find him. And finally, Alter comes in with a deagle once again and finds that. Alter with that op is going to do a lot of damage, but he misses there, and that's going to give Get Wrecked another shot at trying to do something. But Marquette University, 4 players and complete control of the bomb site until RIT can find not just 1 here, but multiple opening kills. This might be a save call for them.
It should be, and it is. I like the discipline from RIT. They know that 2 or 3 players can buy in the next round, so instead of actually going for this, they are trying to save over those rifles and make sure that the next round is a still full rifle round. And Marquette's trying to make sure that's not the case, obviously. A little bit of hunting. Migs with an op does pick 1 up and should stay alive. Will do so. No over-aggression from Marquette, but still applying a small amount of pressure, keeping RIT honest and making sure that the rifles that they saved over were earned rather than just kept. Still a 1-round deficit. If Marquette win here, that's really where their streak could start to unravel, because RIT will fully be out of money.
They've really got to stay focused here and not give that potential, not last round by any means, but that last current budget round, you could say, over to the Marquette team. And I think a lot of that is just, stay settled. Don't get freaked out. You've only lost 2 rounds. And there were rounds that I think any good team certainly stood a chance at. So they got to keep that confidence, continue to play the way that they had. If Get Right can get a little bit more utility out of that op, especially in some of these opening positions, as Marquette is almost, they got 3 at the top of mid. If they can get any of those kills, that's going to be super helpful. But I think most important is Ningso's got to be able to suss out what's happening in the B apartments. As you can see, Marquette kind of cheating in that direction, indicating that might be where they want to go. If he can get that early kill onto Frud, or at least just kind of keep them from making progress, the rest of the RIT team, I think, is very well positioned to take on the aggression from Marquette wherever they end up coming from.
Marquette's done a whole lot of nothing in this first minute of the round. Whatsoever. Nothing negative about them. They're just waiting a whole lot. And I honestly like this decision. The previous round was basically just a whole W call, and it worked out fairly well. So the very large switch in momentum. Smokes over towards A. They're trying to fake the fact this is an A hit and establish control in mid and over towards B at the same time. The former of which finds them a kill. The latter, however, costs them 1 as Chu Tang will drop Frud and Ace is taken care of just the same. It is a B hit as it's fully established with the bomb on that side of the map. Chu Tang, while reloading on the side of Get Right, is still able to find the kill and to gratify. And that may very well be the round. Honestly, if you're Marquette, you should probably save here, especially considering Migs was just taken care of. Alter soon to follow, and RIT, their last hope, turns into a round win.
I was a little nervous there. I think Chutang choosing to peek out from behind the column there before he was fully reloaded could have been disastrous. But thanks to the modern marvel known as a wall, he is able to keep that away enough to find that kill and drop the bomb. So that was ultimately what spelled defeat for Marquette there. So huge props again. Ningso and Chutang playing from this B site in the moments where they have been kind of the last line of defense between the aggression of Marquette and a loss, have stepped up and done really well. Little bit of stumble here and there, but overall, I like the way that they're playing. It's pretty confident, and again, they're maintaining this lead. So as long as RIT doesn't give up the free kills that they did, like I think it was Migs that got all the way up to Cat and was able to get that free kill next to triple. As long as they don't, give up more of those types of kills on a consistent basis, I mean, like they're doing well, and there isn't really anything they need to change about their playstyle.
I do agree with this decision again from Marquette. Full mid control, and it's worked out fairly well. Nice nade, does a decent bit of damage onto Alter. Follow up Molotov as well, forces him away. He has not seen a player and has already taken 70 damage. Not the greatest of starts for the Opper. But Marquette still trying to create control, and the problem is they've taken a little bit too long again. A minute and 15 seconds has gone by. All they have to show for it, outside of A main control and connector control. They are looking to pincer on towards this A side, though, and the chaos created off the back of it may work in their favor. Crodify does find an opening onto Chutang. The problem is they have not diluted this A site itself, and MJB in the sandwich finds a double for his troubles, as RIT find 14.
I'm really impressed with RIT right now. I think that we had at the beginning of the season, the beginning of the split, we kind of looked at it and said, okay, they're obviously in a building position, right? They're building what was, like a newer squad from the RIT side, and they're coming up against some teams that have been together for a while, historically very good. And this is a huge arc. We saw a big win from the Tigers over U Idaho. Marquette obviously doing the same against Montana, and this time coming together, this is an excellent match. Unexpected as to how competitive it is, I think, but in the best possible way.
Nice double from MJB. It was a 4 versus 3. It's down to a 1 versus 3. Migs trying to make sure that overtime isn't the best case scenario for Marquette here in regulation. He doesn't have a choice. Get right flanks. Op not even needed. P250 the back of the head. And a few body shots to add insult to injury. RIT have found map point on Mirage.
I'm digging it. The alumni pride in me is definitely coming out here a little bit. This might be the first map win that we see against Marquette for the RIT side. And then we get to go on to the next, which is Anubis, which is the first time that we're going to see that map played here in the league. And I'm pretty excited to just see the game played. But before that, we've got at least one more round here, and you can see that RIT not interested in taking this to overtime or giving Marquette any hope. They've got 4 out of the 5 kills necessary, and Migs getting chunked down. It's just getting hunted, and that's going to be get wrecked to close it out for RIT. They're going to take the victory on Mirage, the first map of the night of this series for the Tigers, over Marquette 16-11. Huge congratulations to them for accomplishing that feat. And with one more map to go, I don't think I could be more excited about how this is going. This is amazing.
Marquette, since the dawn of time, have been the team in the EGFC to introduce a new map for the first time, and this season is no different. Now, we didn't have Anubis in the previous season meaning fall split, I suppose, and this is our first time, at least here in the spring, we'll see it as well. They were the first team to bring in Ancient. They played Vertigo and Nuke more than any other team on a consistent basis through the spring and fall of last year, and I suppose with a new year comes a new map. We will see said new map when we come back from the break, as Marquette look to turn their fortunes and turn a new map into a new victory and a split series. But whether that happens or not, well, we'll only find out when we come back. First map victory for RIT over top of Marquette. Only their 5th lost map thus far since October. It's been a little while since they've lost anything as well. Change of scenery, playing from behind into map 2. It is their own map pick. It is Anubis. I think they're favored here, to say the very least, but hey, only time will tell.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what kind of momentum the Tigers specifically are able to carry over into this map. It is Anubis. It is the first time that we've seen this in the league. I don't know what to expect in terms of RIT's preparedness for this. They might have looked at the schedule and say, like, Marquette, they're going to try to go for this. Obviously, they didn't ban it out during the picks and bans, so maybe they're confident in their ability on this as well. It's hard to say. Obviously there's not as much playtime as there is in this, as you mentioned with Mirage, where it's one of the most played maps in CSGO history. Anubis pretty new to it, but it is a really great map. Looking at the layout, playing it, just even a couple times, it's got a good feel to it, and something that I think brings kind of some freshness to it, where there hadn't been a lot of new maps, and I can't wait to see Tuscan eventually get introduced into the competitive pool. But that's the future. We're here, and then now we're on Anubis. It's Marquette versus RIT, and we're gonna see if the Marquette side is able to bring some magic, recapture that momentum, and ultimately make this a 1-1 series in terms of map wins. But I mean, RIT built a pretty comfortable lead, and if they win 12 rounds total, whether they win or lose this, they'll ultimately take the best of 2. So obviously, you're always playing to win, not just to not lose. But there's a lot of possibilities, and I just can't wait to see what happens.
All they need to do is just not lose. Easy as that.
Yeah, just don't lose.
Brief
Play
note:
better.
if you were looking at the map, you see it from the T-sided perspective. For all of you who are not as familiar with the map layout, and the T-sided perspective, by the way, is also how Marquette is taking this site. Crutify just swinging everything, and it works. Casual first kill of the map in such a
So well.
clean fashion. And RIT, you're playing retake. This is not a good start.
Yeah, a little bit of a momentum I talked about with Marquette, seeing how they could pick up on that, and the goal is make a statement as you come out to it, and they're able to do so. But RIT, a little bit of life found in them there. They do find 2 frags onto the Marquette side before they ultimately are taken down. Marquette's able to take a pretty standard first round strategy and play through it. And again, it's kind of hard to tell, not with a lot of background on how familiar RIT with this is. If it's one of those situations where the B site for Anubis has just a ton of angles to cover if you're trying to defend or in your post plant situations. So as a result of that, like, you can kind of walk into a bomb site and then get completely blindsided because you forget that there's like cubby or platform. But otherwise, doing pretty well. You see a lot of pushing up towards mid here. Marquette opting for what it looks like is going to be moving towards the A site. RIT coming in behind them, just opting for the aggression. But Migs susses that out and is going to find the double kill on a Hobo and Chu Tang there. That's going to leave just the 2 from the RIT side. They do have the upgraded pistols, so there's some damage that they can do. But again, Marquette knows that the flank is coming in. They're looking for that and expecting it, but get right doesn't matter. They got Frud there. There's just frags flying all over the place. Marquette ends up with the victory. They did lose 1, but 1 is an excellent trade for 1 more round on the board. Marquette up 2-0.
And with that upgraded pistol buy, RIT is not going to have all the utility that they're going to want in this round. Actually, to the point where they're just going to go pistols again. It's SMG singular, 5.7 singular, and 3 deagles with head armor on just Ningso. Everybody else just has a Kevlar vest. This is not a great start for RIT. They're already up against rifles again. Frud is just going with a Mac 10 because why the heck not? And Alter has found the timing of all timings to line up 2 headshots while spraying him down. If that's not an Alter thing to do, I don't know what is.
Ooh, that was a clean kill. I mean, that's 3 on the board for RIT. Suddenly, this is a winnable round
That's the bomb.
for the Tigers. Oh, they got the bomb. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
That's not so good.
And it's 2 AKs as well. RIT have picked up some rifles and some equity in this round. The issue is they're not playing together. They're fairly far from one another, with 2.5 hallways between each other. Ace just needs to clear this left side, and he's win it.
It's good. I mean, Ningso definitely needed to get there, but it doesn't matter. Alter just completely aware of what could be coming. And I mean, I think the difference there is, like, you had one player from RIT sitting out in the open. There's no cover. There's no ability to jiggle peek or re-peek or even really provide a lot of cover if you wanted to trade off in that crossfire position. So a little bit of a misplay from RIT is going to give Marquette that third round. But overall, I mean, it's not like they have been in a position of worry, in my opinion. You look at that, they've obviously done quite a bit of damage with those. Alter able to find MJB through the smoke in mid there is going to give them a little bit of that early advantage. So once again, RIT playing from a disadvantage early on, but this time they've got weapons, they've got ops. We'll see how this plays out over the next 30 seconds.
Ace finds a follow-up. Alder actually looking to clear this. Does a decent bit of damage onto Chu-Tang, but Chu's still safe. No, well, he was, and then he wasn't. Honestly, I'm looking at Alter, and throughout today, Alter is a skilled player. That is not normally. This is very insane. They need to check him PC and game, because he may be cheating.
I mean, 8-0 is that's exactly what they need. I mean, we talked about how the RIT team was able to do just a lot of damage, both I think mentally as well as obviously in terms of the overall rounds on top of that. So it was really a question of whether Marquette was going to be able to stabilize during the break and come back with the confidence that they need to, you know, put up those rounds, continue that. However, we saw on Mirage, Marquette was up early, and then RIT slowly clawed their way back before ultimately overtaking and winning. So I'm not really worried 4 rounds into this. Marquette's obviously in the advantage category here, but RIT have kept this pretty close. I mean, most of these rounds, with the exception of the last one, have been down to a 2v1, 2v2. So nothing has changed in my perception of the matchup between these two teams carrying over from Mirage.
Honestly, I'm getting some deja vu as well. Minus the fact that Marquette is starting on the T side instead of CT side. They started off well on Mirage. They were playing well early, and then RIT decided that they wanted to start winning rounds. And then they did. A lot of them, by the way. And I feel like this is going to be another one of those scenarios. They are choosing the correct side, heading over towards that ace
I don't think
site.
you saw that foot there.
But, well, it's a 1-for-1 trade. That first kill, by the way, for Marquette was around the mid. The problem is they're collapsing on towards A, and, well, away goes RIT. There is a quick flank being set up that they just have not counted on. And Hobo Job only has a 5-7, and this time's taken care of by Alter.
Yeah, unfortunately, if it wasn't Alter, I feel like they probably would have had a better chance.
Nice shot.
Oof. Gratify going to lose a couple extra points of health there. Oh, I don't think he missed the feed, but it doesn't matter because Migs ultimately comes out on top of MJB. Anyways, MJB trying to protect Chu-Tang, who does ultimately find the refrag, but he is just trying to hold onto that op. And the two players from Marquette that are in the near vicinity, sorry, make that one, are trying to chase that down and see what they can get. And of course, it's Alter. He wants that op. He's the guy for the job. So Chu-Tang continuing on that retreat, but the speed he's going, he might actually run into the other two players. So he's got to be very careful.
No way!
That's
No up
unlucky.
for you.
That's
You
so
know,
unlucky.
I can imagine Karatify thinking to himself right now, no up for you, plus L, plus ratio, plus 5-0. That's... He thinks in Reddit. I actually don't know if that's the case. I promise this is not actual factual information. Please don't sue me for slander. RIT, this is a round they need to win. I think they lose this. We're probably looking at an even worse scoreline than the previous game in the first half. And losing Chu-Tang early is not the greatest start, but Hobo Job does pick up a first and makes it possible, and then is just flanked. So nothing he could do. One of those days.
It's unfortunate. I mean, it's going to give them, again, they're just continuing to work from these positions of disadvantage, and they're losing some of these, but they are getting the trades, and that's what's important most. And from here, A's lower on it, but they've taken down the top fraggers, and more importantly, the player of the two left with the more health. So that means just Frud with 10 HP is up against Ningso and MJB. Both of them in a pretty good position, except Frud has gotten between the two of them and is already on the way back flanking up towards that tunnel CT position. So MJB may not be expecting him from behind. You can see, all right, he's turned around. He's getting the sense that maybe something's coming, and that's going to be a quick end to it. So MJB is going to get RIT's first round on the board. Super important. Very good to see. That's going to give RIT a little bit of confidence. Like you said, that was a must win, and RIT ultimately come through, able to do that, and they building a little bit of that confidence back up.
Big change as well for RIT in their playstyle as well. Coming back in that round, you were looking at it and saying, oh yeah, well, they've lost the B site, not all that much they could do at the back of this, and then they immediately turned it around. Alter intermittent. What?
Ah, man, the timing. You just saw the
Okay.
flank strafing, and oh,
Oh,
that feels bad. That's it. I think the trying to take on Alter in that early mid battle is not a good decision, especially now that you know he's got the off on him. And Marquette able to take advantage of that, just pushing their momentum through. They have taken quite a bit of damage, so you know there's certainly the possibility for the refrag there. But
Hobo has just walked up heaven, and they discounted main. Migs is in a 1 versus 2 and has only 50 HP. He doesn't see the swing around pillar, and he should get swung from that same position. He has to back away, down to 35 HP now after the Molotov. A follow-up nade. Luckily, oh my god, it does land. Geometry Genius is Chutang, and a sliver of health left for Migs in what seemed like a guaranteed round victory for Marquette. You know, RIT...
the math school, right?
Hey, I mean, RIT had their fair share of rounds where it looked like, oh yeah, this round's basically over, and then Marquette won. I feel like Marquette's just equalizing, or RIT's doing their due diligence and equalizing.
That entire round was Hobo. He got 3 kills, but those were probably the most important 3 kills, 2 kills, really, if we're honest, of probably this whole game so far. That round single-handedly turned on his efforts, and so far, I mean, again, Marquette obviously in the driver's seat 5-2 here, but RIT I think may have actually found their footing a little bit more. I still would like to see them not taking those early mid battles quite as much, and it seems like for the time being they're giving up on that. But Marquette going much harder into that. And you see Ace Croatify just gets in between him and his enemy, and that's going to spell disaster. Missing that flash there is going to set everybody back just a couple of seconds, but that's Ace and Croatify off the board with nothing to show for it.
That should basically be the round, but Alter is still alive. Don't discount Marquette just yet. Ningso waiting under balcony, and at this point you could just see patience playing for Marquette. The problem is over-aggression without information. MJV finds an opening off the back of it, switches out for an AK, but is taken out from behind. Migs finds 1, and Alter's still in this. Hobo Job all the way around towards the backside of CT. Watching that bomb, and the flash doesn't catch him. Alter's taken care of. Migs in his 4th 1v3 of the series. And again, he loses it without finding a kill. All 4 occasions, by the way. And Marquette, they're just torn apart on that B side.
I feel like that's the 5th or 6th round that I've seen decided just by, you know, somebody's butt hanging out a little bit from behind, and just a couple of those pixels giving it away and enough for them to play through.
CSGO characters got the dumpy.
I'm also getting just a lot of anxiety from the fact that Hobo Job has a dynamic crosshair, and that makes me uncomfortable. But Migs comes up, finds Get Rex, who then loses the op, and they go down to the Glock. That's going to give the op over to the opper himself, Alter. And suddenly this is real dangerous, because those are 2 guns over to the side of Marquette. This is a 3v3 with the opper in hands of Alter. That, I mean, the man is a one-man army. We've talked about that before. He can make some serious damage happen. But RIT able to start moving around, and they're going to come from some of these off angles. You can see Ningso starting to sneak up along with Chutang from that last kind of outer spot, checking all the angles before moving towards that A site. And prepared for it, but only able to find 1 is Alter. So that's a 1-for-1 trade for keeping everybody equal. And the P250 gun is too strong. I won't hear another word about me buying that on the CT side. That
honestly,
that's totally worth it.
Buying upgraded pistols in pistol round or any other round gives you an arguable shot. P250 requires 2 body shots and a headshot, 5.7, 1-1. RIT are torn apart off of a full eco. It was what, upgraded pistols, maybe a P250. I saw a few Glocks and a Deagle at the maximum, and they walk around with an AWP and an M4. Yeah, okay, bud. RIT now doubled up because of it. Even after that string of rounds won, they're still on a save. It's Deagles, plural. Every single one of them have a Deagle. The problem is they don't have site control, as they've just given up this A side, and there's not a whole lot they can do about it with a lack of utility, no armor, and just hand cannons.
Yeah, not a lot to be done. And I think that last round really came down to, I mentioned like they needed to stop taking those early mid battles because Alter's going to be there. It doesn't matter if he's got a deagle or an op, he's just hard to beat. And RIT, unfortunately, not learning that lesson early enough, is going to once again surrender a round over to Marquette. So this is probably going to be the 7th round. I mean, I suppose it's possible that MGP is going to close that out, but it's looking pretty dire at this point. So he's going to opt, I guess, to just hang on to the deagle, although I think it's more economical, technically speaking, for him to die with a bomb. So we'll see if he can pull anything out from here. I mean, 1 is pretty good.
1 is better than none. Actually, 2 is better than none.
So, all right, that puts him in a better position. He's actually going to be able to buy now. That's good. That's real good.
On today's episode of Could Have Been Worse.
Just like a little golf clap.
Yeah.
That's what that was worthy of. So RIT is going to be back on that buy. They're going to be looking for that 4th round on the board for them. Marquette feeling pretty confident. I mean, a minor stutter. You mentioned RIT able to string together a couple rounds, and they're still pushing into that mid position. I guess when they're not getting punished for it, it is working out for them. So it's a big gamble as to whether Alter is feeling like it's taking a stroll into mid or not. But so far, not punished for it in this round, giving them a little bit of a better position. But get wrecked, man, that would make me really nervous if I was the RIT strat caller. But hey, whatever.
There's an immediate trade, though. Chutang taken care of all the way across that under balk position, and at least a 1-for-1 trade for Marquette still gives them a pretty good shot at this. The spray from Hobo Job, that's dangerous. Giving away a lot of your ammo and audio cues there, as Frud will hear it and will still look to sit in front of the smoke. And Hobo Job, I think there's another smoke set up there, so he's safe for the time being. The walk in through dark is Alter swinging and still finds the kill, fully readjusted. I feel like Marquette just has Alter, and that's an X factor.
Yeah. I mean, it's like JW in his prime using that as if it were a rifle. He's being aggressive. He's entry fragging with it. And RIT so far, I mean, some points where they've been able to put up a reasonable defense, but oftentimes they're just getting caught off guard. And again, it's hard to tell in this circumstance if it's because RIT is just not like 100% comfortable with the angles. You could see in some of those circumstances, it looked like they were trying to make a cross where Alter like knew what to expect, knew what to watch, and RIT was a little aware of it, but not so much to the point where they were, like actively flashing or, jiggle peeking or anything like that. So I'm taking some of that with a grain of salt, but at the end of the day, they're still responsible for winning rounds. So they've got to put more of those together. Marquette on 8 rounds to RIT's 3rd. This is a little bit more reminiscent of matchups that we've seen in the past. So RIT ideally is going to come into the next couple of rounds and get 2 or 3 of them. I mean, you'd love to see an 8 and 7 score line as we've seen previously, but we're, I think, content with 5, maybe 6.
Brief note, by the way, you were talking about what RIT needs to do to not lose or to win. To not lose, they have to score 11 rounds in this second map. That would tie it at 16-11, 16-11 between the two teams and make it an overall, 27-27 round change between the two and tie it. If they want to win, they need to have 12 rounds at the end of it. They don't really have to win the map to win the series, but I think they'd like to for tiebreaker's sake.
Yeah, playing that 3D chess. Not quite 4D, but 3D for sure.
Mm-hmm. Just normal chess, you mean?
I don't know. Is 3... I mean, you play chess.com, it's 2D, but is it 3D? I don't know. I've never really thought that much into that metaphor, so I'm not going to start now.
That's fair. Well, more aggression through dark, and Ace just, does that to Hobo Job, so that happened. Alter finds a follow-up on the Chutang as well. A massacre on the A site, and that happened. Get wrecked from behind does find 1 as Crotify's taken care of, and picks up a rifle as well, but Migs is there. Headshot to the wall, clean kill, and that's exactly what Marquette needed. 1 versus 3 here, as it's the B site, not the A site, and Alter still finds the kill. So, Ning so dead. Marquette with 9.
Ming so dead. A lot of work to be done. Big mountain to climb, but still possible. Again, we're aiming for 5 or 6 here, so that means they got their freebie. They've got to come back into this, and they've got to win at least 2 out of the next 3. And if they can do that, they will be in a reasonable position, assuming that they win the pistol on the T side to come back, which totally possible. It certainly favors people with aggression, I think, as we've seen on this map. There's a lot of entry points to each site. So with a little bit of aggression, sowing a little bit of chaos and confusion, as we've seen Marquette do pretty successfully across quite a few of their 9-round wins. RIT's still in this, but Marquette comfortably in the driver's seat for the time being, and no shortage to the 19 frags that Alter has gotten, and has continued to just have a round by round impact that cannot be overstated.
JB, impact of his own, now actually positive at 11 and 10. But it's been a lot of impact frags from MJB. Notably, you were talking about the 3 frags he found over towards the A side, and a lot of chaos ensuing frags. Migs headshot, but still alive. Alter with an op out. They want to try and take A. The problem is they still have not taken care of that main position. They will drop over the op to Migs, lower HP, living up to the laws of the game, but they have to clear main. And you'll never believe it, again, it's somebody occupying it. Alter seemingly possibly aware of the possibility, that someone's around here. Unfortunately, Mig's not so much. He's taken care of. And that should be the round. It is indeed. They just collapse. 4 players had 3 different lines of sight onto him. No shot for Alter.
That early round aggression from RIT really paid off there. And I think most importantly, and I'm harping on this, but they didn't push into mid directly. They're taking some of those other off angles to try to get behind and separate the Marquette team. And that worked out really well. And that combined with just winning those one-on-one battles, obviously we're talking about Migs and Alter at the end there. The 2 of them could definitely clutch that. There's certainly no disbelief in that opportunity. Alter almost finding that mid kill on Get Wrecked is something that we have talked about multiply. What I just mentioned in Chutang, they don't clear to the left, and that's going to give him a double kill. Alter comes in and finds that, but it does not matter because Hobo, even though he's blind, finds Croatify, and suddenly Marquette's down to just 2 players, and the bomb is out of their reach, but it is Alter, so nothing is caught out.
Migs even finds 1.5 as well. Alter in a 1 versus 2. Knows at least about the balcony player. Swings onto the second towards CT. A Molotov dropped in front of him. A follow-up drop behind him. No safe way to play here for Molotovs. And Alter just dies because of it. Not a safe plant either. I mean, safe in comparison, but not safe to play for, just to play around. And RIT pick up the round off the back of it. Looking for another 9-6 first half split.
That's exactly what they needed to do, and they did it exactly correctly there. I mean, that I think just kind of puts a real point on how useful it is to have late round utility. And when they add in the ability to pick up grenades, that's so good. Love that. So they're coming through this. Somehow Get Wrecked initially manages to stay alive and is enough to just bait out 2 kills for MJB, who gets away with a reasonable amount of health, and Migs walking away with only 20 HP to show for it. So Alter, the most important piece on the Marquette team for the time being at least, is off the board. So now it's Migs coming up in second place. Fred's been pretty quiet. You can see that by his 2 and 13 score line, but Ace has had some pretty wild rounds. So nothing's out. But RIT's got to have like a little bit of confidence in what they're doing here. They got the early kills, they did the early damage, and they've got 2 players on this B site. You can see MJB starting to push through mid, trying to grab some more of that information. It seems like RIT's got a good sense of where they might be attacking. So now it really comes down to who's able to defend or attack better. And I think we have our answer.
Yeah. Oh, and then Nate as well. Fred's on 30 health with a P90 and a 1v4. If there were more factors against him, I could just start listing them off. For starters, he has a lack of utility. He's got 35 seconds. And he's already been heard. So even without visual cues, he's got sound cues going across rug. And MJB snipes him out of thin air. Nice little skeet shooting with an AK in hand. 9-6 again after a first half split.
I like it. I'm excited about where it is. I think RIT struggled a lot in some of those early rounds. We could see that by how Marquette was able to string together quite a few unanswered rounds initially. But RIT in their string of 3 and then their second string of 3 have built up that momentum. So they've switched sides. It's a little bit harder to be on the attacking front here. To a degree, I mean, like there's a lot more positions to attack from, a lot more levels to clear and deal with. And I think that creates some interesting opportunities. But again, it kind of comes down to we're not really sure how RAT has practiced and prepared for this map, where Marquette has been trying to get this in since week 9. So there's a lot of things that could happen here, but RIT coming in, I mean, they take the site, they find their 2 kills. That's a bomb down. Alter coming in on the rotation, but MJB's got something to say about that. He takes 2 before leaving just Alter alive, but Alter on the USPs got that distance advantage. He's clicking away, trying to find those heads, but RIT, all they have to do is stay alive, and Alter down to 3 HP every second. His chances dwindling until it's finally snuffed out by Ningso. That is a great opening round from RIT. A little bit of dicey there for a moment, but at the end of the day, they close out, and that's what is important. That is the 7th round on the board for the RIT Tigers.
7-9 as well. 5 rounds away from winning the series. 4 from guaranteeing a tie. And Marquette, there are few mistakes they can now afford. And, well, you can see their weapons. In this case, the lack thereof. It's 4 USPs and a P250. Now, granted, Alter does have the P250, so there's a shot. Chutang turns and sees 4 players. Will find the first 2, and somehow lives through the 3rd and 4th, just looking to swing. It's a money farm in mid. He finds a 4K and $2,400. I think that is one of the very few times you'll see somebody actually make money in a round. And RIT win the conversion.
And yeah, that was a great play. He did exactly I mean, like that's the best kind of outcome, because you assume when you run into that, if you've got the SMG, maybe you can get 2 or 3 off of that, but inevitably with the right aggression from the team, like they'll eventually just swarm you down. He plays that around, just, you know, dipping and diving around the pillar and the wall there, and doing an excellent job of staying alive. And that is the most important. Alter missing that shot uncharacteristically is going to make up for that by taking out Ning So. Going to wisely move back. Frud goes down to get wrecked as they start to make that aggression onto the A site. But the rest of the RIT team still in that mid area, looking to just kind of chill out. I mean, there's almost complete control of it by Get Wrecked now, and that's going to give him the opportunity to just move around, play some weird angles, and get into some odd places. Most importantly, he finds Migs playing from that heaven position, and that's going to give him a nice little prize for that. And while he's single-handedly holding down the A site, the rest of the RIT squad has moved into B, and that's giving them the off angle. There goes Ace. Just 2 players left. One of them is Alter on that op, and he's ready to make his mark. That's 3 players down or left on the RIT squad, and just 94 health in total from the Marquette squad. But that op ready to do some work, and we'll see if Alter is able to pull it off. There's the 2nd kill. Can he find 2 more?
There's a chance. Oh, MJB, however, from CT finds the kill. That should be the save. Alter's going to keep this over. And Marquette's going to play Hero Op for the 4th time thus far in the series, 2nd in the game. It's worked out before. And RIT ties things up here. Again, 3 rounds to... Oh, and Alter dies the bomb. Oh my goodness gracious.
Devastating.
No Hero Op for you.
I love where we're at with this. This is very unexpected, and RIT is playing an excellent game. They're helped out a little bit by their sub. MJB has been a great addition, and in this case, he's the frag leader, so no shortage of impact considered there. But RIT, I feel like, is just playing really well. I mean, everybody has found their footing now at this point. They're making that impact, and Marquette is getting back into that headspace where I think sometimes they just get to a point where they don't quite feel as confident, or something's not working, and it's not necessarily frustration, but something in that mental game just starts to deteriorate a little bit. And that's given in this case, RIT the opportunity to take advantage of it and continue to build up rounds. Chutang going off here, able to get his first 2 kills in a while. This is a nice, clean, confidence building round for RIT. They're going to take the round again over Marquette. This is the 2nd time they've been able to do this, and Marquette now have to come back and answer. They will have the guns to do so this time around, but it's a question of whether the equipment matches their mental and whether they're going to be able to execute to the fullest.
So I want to bring up two different sides of the same coin. We were talking earlier about how Alter is kind of like the alter ego, pun intended, of internet. And the different sides of the same coin is the fact that while Alter is still fragging out, by no means is he bottom fragging in any series ever. When you rely on Alter to frag out and you play up against a competent team like RIT, kind of like how they mentioned over on that Villanova side, if you build a strat sheet around just a single player and the opposing squad shuts him down every so often, you can't continuously rely on that player to frag out and give you rounds. Now in this case, in this round, that's not really the case because Alter found the opening, and well, everybody else is able to help off the back of that. Well, at least he assisted in the opening. But yeah. RIT still 4 versus 2 to play up against, and not a whole lot of real estate to work with. Marquette, this is where it works. Previous rounds, and mainly the reason that they have 4 in a row, that's kind of why it doesn't.
Yeah, it does seem like this is gonna favor Marquette in the end, but the Marquette squad is also spread out enough that if they're able to win some of those, especially again, we talked a little bit about how Fred's been pretty quiet, and in this case, MJB winning out in that 1v1 is just kind of continuing with that. However, the other player on that site is Alter with the op, and he's gonna find it, but he loses the battle against MJV. Migs is there for the refrag, but this is suddenly a 1v2 with not a lot of help on either of those Marquette teams. And RIT over on the other side of the map, they're gonna get there. They're gonna get a free plant, and all he's got to do is stay alive for 40 seconds. And I don't know if Marquette. Yeah, I mean, this is what 5 to 10 seconds to make the rotation. As long as Ningso gets this opening kill, I mean, it looks very favorable to RIT all of a sudden.
I like this decision from Ningso. He's playing very close to Migs, trying to at least find an opening pick, and he's just waiting in this corner, waiting for Migs to swing, and he does just that. The headshot almost there, but it isn't fully found. Koatify, while Ningso is gray screened, finds the kill, and smokes will never favor you. The gray screen always costs you, and Marquette will tie us up just to shock you. Koatify shutting him down through it to back away, risky, and it costs him. Fun little tidbit there. 2 players left for between Koatify and Migs had 42 HP per person. They were 84 total, whereas on the other side, Ningso had 84 HP total. So, it's a little thing.
Equal in everything except for people, actual bodies. I don't know. RIT favoring to continue with their default strategy, just kind of spreading out, getting whatever information they can. Obviously, that's worked out really well for them, just to continue to create chaos and confusion. They're going and clearing out all of these different lanes, but Marquette getting a little bit bolder is going to go out and find a little bit more of that information. Ace able to follow up on the initial damage from Alter to take out Chu Tang. Immediately traded. So this is just another one of those rounds where we're seeing kills going back and forth, and they're just getting a lot of information out. Then now that RIT is winning some of these 1v1s, they're gonna should be able to get the bomb down, and Marquette playing from that CT side, all the way now has to come around back, and RIT has the advantage of playing defense now on the post plant scenario.
3 versus 3. Again, equalizations, and one player on either side really low, but it's the body that really matters. There's a spray, decent bit of damage done. Hobo Job does find one. A double for Alter, though, and a 1v1. MJB with the AK in hand doesn't even need a headshot, just 2 shots to the body, and that'll do it, and he finds them both onto Alter. RIT regain the lead, and as close as this series have been, RIT on a consistent basis, when push comes to shove later on in rounds, have taken it when required.
I think Marquette has continued to find good general positioning, and that's been really positive, obviously, as they continue to try to stay within striking distance of RIT as they have taken over the league. But I do think that they have relied a little too heavily on Alter's ability to do this, and their best way to get back in this is either he's got to go frag out and get, like a 40K, or some of those players that have been a little bit quieter have to step up. And we do see Fred, as I mentioned, who's been pretty quiet, as we've mentioned before, does come out and get that opening kill, but it's not all that helpful because Marquette has already lost 3 players elsewhere. So Marquette down to just 2. They do have an AK and an MP9, but realistically, this is definitely an entry or an exit frag, save that over, try to pick up whatever rifles they possibly can just to make something out of it. I think Hobo found him, and there goes Migs looking for that exit, trying to do something, but not coming up with any real tangible benefit from that. So Fred's gonna do his team a service by picking up that AK and maybe hanging on to it, but you can see the RIT team is starting to hunt for it, and why not?
Find it as well. Fred, lucky to live through this. He won't. MJB finds the headshot around through Rug. And RIT find 12. Not a single rifle saved over, albeit inconsequential. Would have just been an extra $3,100, $2,900, depending on what rifle you buy up to save into the following round. But Marquette will still be able to fully buy well above $5,000 a player. And a op for Frud. This is an interesting call because it's a double op for Marquette. This is the first time we're seeing this from them as well in the second half. I like the decision. They need to bring something different. The problem is they're bringing something different on the wrong side of the map.
I like that they are pushing for that information, and this, I mean, they've gotten far enough that everyone should know. You can see the trigger, everybody starts running towards that site, but it doesn't matter because RIT is already out onto that, and Alter, who'd been the anchor for that site, is already down. He does find Hobo to take care of with him, and Migs coming in to find that second kill, but the bomb is not down yet, is down now, and now RIT moves into that defensive position, and they're very well positioned to do so, finding 2 kills in a matter of just a second. Ace is going to try to do something for it. Fred has picked up that op, so now it's a matter of can they get the right angles at the right times, and it's about that combined push, and Ace coming through huge for his team, finds the double headshot, and is going to save that round for Marquette. This could have been a runaway for RIT. I think if they had won that, that might have been the backbreaker, but Marquette able to come through and find their 11th round. Notably, we forgot to mention it in the last one, but RIT has technically won the best of 2 with that 12th round that they put up. We talked about that earlier. And so now it's a matter of can they close out this map and make it a true 2-0?
You know what really would have been weird? If RIT was, let's say they won 16-12 in map 1, and then they found the 13th round, and we were like, well, they've technically won the series, unless it goes to OT and Marquette wins 19-15. That would really be a way to deny a series victory when you thought you've already won it. Chutang is somehow still alive. I don't know how in the world that's the case, but sure. Alter finds a shot through the wall, and 19 HP only that's left over. Marquette still playing a round and a map behind. So at this point, they're really just playing for the map victory. And it's certainly a possibility, especially with Fred fragging out now on the op. Seemingly they're saving grace in terms of KD. But still even in a lot of these engagements, 3 versus 2, RIT still in this round. That's smoke around towards dark, well timed, but an even better Molotov to return. That's created so much space for Marquette. The problem is they're not converting off of it. Alter's going back towards mid and Fred towards A. It's still B that's the call, and they're probably going to go drop and try and convert on it. Get wrecked. He's so low, but so is Ace. That nade may very well kill him, and it does. Oh, they trade nades!
More importantly, though, the Hobo Job is not at the site with them, but both of the Marquette players, playing very conservatively and rightly so, have left the A site. So this is going to give Job the opportunity to at least get the plant down, it seems like. And whether or not he's going to get the timing right, he should know that there's somebody probably coming up there. The pixels. The pixels are just not quite in their favor. That's going to give him the opportunity to get out of the middle of the site and play more defensively. Plays back, tucked into safe there. Finds the first one. That was Alter, and Frud coming up huge for his team. The name that we have not said very much other than to note how much we haven't talked about it comes out clutch, and it's going to tie up this map 12-12. Marquette making a little bit of a comeback here. That's now 2 rounds in a row for them, and they got to feel pretty good about just getting back on the board, frankly.
But it's again a round where they only keep 1 or 2 players alive. Those last 2 round victories, they're breaking the bank. And look at the money. It barely exists. In total, throughout the entire team, you're looking at, what, $4,800 between 5 players? That is not a lot of cash for all of you who don't play this game a whole lot. Because it's buying power for a rifle and armor. Or, if you're lucky, a couple SMGs, which is not enough. And Marquette, I think, know that. That's why there's a little bit more of passivity from their squad. Hobo Job, however, not passive whatsoever. Frud and Alter both dead. No ups for you, plus L plus ratio. The round's over. That's all she wrote. Nothing that Ace could do. Even if you find that kill, it's still a 1v3. RIT blink and you miss it, they take the lead right back.
I just, wow, there's no real words for that. I mean, I thought that there would be a little bit more, I don't know, like a reaction to it where you took a hard round loss there. You might play a little bit more conservatively, even without realizing it. You know, just that kind of subconscious thought of like, okay, we got punished for this. Let's pull back. Let's, think about it a little bit more. Doesn't matter. RIT just walk right in. And I think that's kind of the beauty of this map is there's a lot of opportunities that if you know where you're looking and how you're trying to clear these corners, if you do it at the right pace, the timing works out very well. That's really what this map is all about is timing. There's obviously lots of utility to be used, and then some of those post plant positions that make the difference. But RIT able to put up that early 13th round is going to give them, a pretty good base to work from. And Alter able to find Ning So is going to give them that AK. So we talked a little bit about the money situation for Marquette going into the next round. They'll feel a lot better if they can hold on to any of these AKs. Maybe one.
I don't blame Fred for doing that. However, this is going to be a free kill for Chutang. Please knife him. Please knife him. Chutang's going to knife him. We have seen a knife in the spring semester. I don't know if you saw one last week. Honestly, even if you did, who cares? RIT, find a knife kill. A Marquette.
It's your first knife of the split.
It's my first knife of the split. I'm happy enough with that. Marquette now 2 rounds back. That AK basically would have guaranteed an extra rifle later on. But again, look at it. They lose this, they probably lose the series. And well, they've technically lost the series, but they lose the map as well. Because again, there's no cash for the team. They're working with $850 between 5 players. You lose this round, you're gone. And Ace is being just sent upon. Good guess from Ningso to clear that close corner, but unfortunately the wrong one. Ace very lucky to be alive after a little overextension to grab the AK, but still an opening pick for Marquette.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, not the worst position, all things considering, that the opening kills went to RIT in the previous rounds, and they've been able to battle back from that. But Marquette showing the signs of life necessary to potentially bring them back into this. This is that kind of win or die situation. And so far, Marquette managing to keep everybody alive. Frud, again, a player who we hadn't seen a lot coming out huge in these last couple of rounds. We had that clutch just 2 rounds ago. And now coming out and doing some work with the op, keeping the RIT squad off of his bomb site, focused on making sure that he walks away with whatever he can. Alter misses one, somehow walks away with, I can't believe he lived through that. Finds the kill and Crowdify cleans it up. So Marquette do find that 13th round. They are going to keep their bank alive just a little bit longer. And RIT is less confident in the fact that there could be a win coming up. But I think and am pretty enthusiastic about the battle that we should see play out over the next 2 rounds.
And another conversation, you're talking about the economy staying alive. Marquette have now bought up enough and kept enough over from that previous round victory to, at a bare minimum, buy healthy SMGs or FAMASs if they lose this round. So every round from here on out should be a fairly close one in terms of economic situations. Not safe by any means for either squad, never really is. Flashbang over top, there's a swing from Ningso. Timing shot, misses unfortunately, but Migs is still here and trying to play aggressive. It works out for him. He finds a first, looking for a second, over aggression possibly from the team captain, and he'll heat check himself. Alter heat checking Chutang, and a 4 versus 3 with Get Wrecked on a sliver of health. Hobo Job just holds W into B and it works, but he only finds 1.
Isn't that just been the story of Hobo Job's life, this map, right? Just walk in, get the kill, not think about it. The confidence and the swagger doing that has been immeasurable. But Alter finally kind of coming back into it after having a difficult couple of rounds, able to do some good work there. Frud showing his op skills is going to find the first one. This is the second, but it doesn't really matter because the other 2 members of the Marquette squad are moving in. There isn't really enough time to move over to the other site. So MJB's got to smoke everybody out and make the decision either to go for it, see if he can take on that 3v1 and win, or just save it. And it looks like he's going to hold back. He's only got 25, but if Marquette gets a little overzealous, oh no, 2 of the Marquette squad have moved away. He's got the
Oh,
kill.
no.
This could be an
Timing
opening.
for Marquette. Fred back with the op.
Do it.
10 seconds. He finds another kill. Alter on an op. Walking it through mid. Timing, favoring MJB, but he's worried more about Heaven. Not aware of Alter, but Alter didn't see him. Swinging now around the fish, looking for the Fin. Doesn't find it. Switches instead to the USP, but it's full HP for MJB. It would have to be 2 different headshots, and he knows it. Molotov towards the back. Switches back to the op. Swings around the corner, but it's the kill for MJB. No, it isn't. Alter's still alive somehow in this fight. But he's shut down. RIT have guaranteed overtime and uncharacteristic misses in back-to-back rounds for Alter. The hero loses his cape. It's sucked out from his back, and RIT are on match point to 2-0 Marquette. What?
I can't believe that. I mean, MJB just comes through huge for the RIT squad. And I mean, like, it's worth noting that everybody on the RIT squad, especially Hobo Joe, we've talked about a couple times, have had huge impacts round to round. But that single clutch is what is likely going to spell victory for RIT, assuming that they don't implode in this round and the next. But they've at least guaranteed overtime, something that I don't know that anybody would have predicted necessarily coming into this. So huge props to the Tigers for doing so. They do find that nade kill onto Migs. So it's, it's just continuing that back and forth that we've seen play out round over round. And it's a matter of who ultimately is going to come out on top. Get Wrecked, able to get 1 kill. Chu Tang taking out Alter after the trade. That's, wow. Wow. That's it. I can't believe it. Huge congrats to the Tigers. That is a clean 2-0 map victory. Best of 2 series win, and obviously on rounds as a result of that. I can't believe that we just saw that happen. I anticipated it being like when we watched Marquette play a nuke, but RIT came back. They were prepared. Take all the time you need, bud. Pick that jaw up off the floor. We got a show to do.
Wow. So that happened. RIT 16-11, 16-13. They win Anubis. I just need to stop mentioning my bingo card because that damn well was not on there.
You gotta throw that out and get a new one at this point.
Yeah, apparently. All right, I cannot say I'm surprised that RIT won a map. I'm surprised about 2 separate things. Number 1, they 2-0'd Marquette. And yes, it was a close game both times, but Marquette in the second half just imploded on both occasions. It was a 9-6 half in both games, and they scored 2 rounds in the second half in game 1, 4 in game 2. Not a great showing on either case. And then moving on to map 2, it was Anubis. It is the newest map to the pool. Marquette doesn't lose new maps, ever. They play Nuke, they play Vertigo, they play freaking Ancient, for that matter. And they win just about every time on every map. They had previously lost 4 maps total. 1 to Villanova, 1 to UConn, and back-to-back to DePaul, who loses, and everybody loses to DePaul. But now an 0-2 to RIT, they're now 8-8. They're in the conversation of top 4 now, as there's still 5 weeks of play remaining. 6 weeks of play remaining. However many weeks of play there is remaining. RIT's back in this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And a sneak peek into hashtag CSGO captains. Miguelito, aka Migs, just said GG ... So he's about as shocked as I am.
Wow. Big words from the captain there. I love that this happened. I am a proud RIT alumni. I mentioned that at least once a week. And I'm thankful to see our squad step up for that. I mean, obviously, we're big fans of all teams here, but there's a little bit of Tiger pride coming through on that, and I appreciate that. I think looking forward into next week, into week 11, RIT is going to take on UConn, a team that has been heating up and just absolutely dominating the conversation, carrying over from the fall. So we're going to see if this result against Marquette is something that is replicable, that they can carry that forward into the next week or not. Hard to say, but we'll have the opportunity to see that at the first match. And Marquette's going to go up against Villanova. We saw them win pretty convincingly against the Montana squad in our previous series. So I don't know. The slated matches next week are pretty great, and I'm very excited to see what that will be. But first, we're going to have an interview with Shutan coming up in a minute. So we'll take a break and don't go anywhere.
A 2-0 victory for the Rochester Institute of Technology over top of Marquette University here in Week 10 leads them to not only that leading 5th place, but a little bit further out and some definitive bragging rights over top of Marquette. We're joined here alongside Viking. I'm Time Delight, and with us for the interview, Chu Tang from the Chu Gang. That was their team name, and face it for all of you who don't know it. Chu, after that first map, just really starting things off, you guys brought that momentum into map 2, but it was second half momentum for both maps. Talk me through it.
I feel like for I think the first few rounds of pretty much both maps were I think we went down like 5-1, 5-2 on both maps. I feel like for those maps, I was like not me, but the team, we were kind of I wouldn't say we were I think we were more figuring stuff out. We were kind of just kind of doing things without much direction. And then we finally got getting a feel for what they were doing, like their tendencies, because they tend to do the same thing a lot each round. So it got a little easy to adjust. And I feel like I don't know what really happened in the second half. To be honest, I think we just felt it. I think we were feeling ourselves a bit more, especially coming off I think a strong end to the first half. And at that point, we just let it run the whole way through.
Yeah, obviously that worked out very well across both times. I think we certainly never counted you out, but Marquette, obviously a powerhouse team doing a lot of great work over the course of it. This time they were playing with some subs. You also were playing with some subs. Can you talk about, well, one, MJB, the obvious sub, Hobo Job, also, I think not last week.
He's not a sub. Frag Daddy doesn't want to go as Frag Daddy anymore, so he changed his name to Hobo Job. That's just
it.
Yep.
We missed that. That makes sense.
Yep.
All right, so let's focus on MJB. You come in, you've got a sub last minute. We ran into some computer issues early on. Can you talk about just sort of what those moments leading up to the game were like and how you tried to adjust the game plan around that?
So, before the game, our guy was like, "Yeah, my computer's dead. I don't know what to do." So we first tried calling. So we just went out to all the subs and asked them if anyone could like play. No one responded. But like I think at like 8 o'clock, right before the game, MJB came in and said, "If y'all need one, we could play. I could play." And so we just pretty much slotted him in to wherever Will played. It wasn't the case for Anubis though. We've actually, as a team, we didn't really practice Anubis that much, even though we were willing to play it. So we didn't really have set roles or anything. We kind of just played how we normally did. If we were like in a pug or something like that, if we just like
the
5
default,
face it.
the default.
Yeah. Exactly. We didn't prepare anything special for that map. I think most of us didn't even really know any util for it. So yeah. But on Mirage at least, we just put him into like Akmos roles, Will's roles, Legend 45, just because it was easier to work with, and I think he's a great player, Will and MJB especially. So I think it was a pretty like clean transition for him, especially because he didn't have to really adjust anything on Anubis on the second map, and everyone knows how to play Mirage anyway.
You hope so, anyways. It's been around for a while, and that was going to be my follow-up question to Anubis. This is the first time that we've seen this in the season. Obviously, we finished out the fall split with Dust 2 still in the rotation. Swap that out for Anubis coming into it. You mentioned that you were pretty new to that. We were kind of guessing that based on some of the tendencies that we saw. Maybe your familiarity wasn't there, but I think in a way that maybe have worked out to your advantage. We watched Hobo Job just kind of like stomp into a site, clear something. And like, I don't think Marquette was expecting that because the reactions were crazy. So can you talk about just like what the comms and the kind of thought process through that map ended up being? You mentioned before, similar to Mirage, you started off, going down 5-2, 5-1, somewhere in that neighborhood before you came back. Can you talk kind of through what that thought process was like, and ultimately, obviously, you came out on top?
So we went down 5-0, and after that we started getting some rounds back, and then they brought it back. It was 8-3, and at some point they actually choked to me, Hobo Job and MJB. They explicitly told me to play back on the B site and stop giving them picks, and I feel like it worked. We then went on to win the next 5 rounds, so that's cool. So basically, after I was finished like running around like an idiot, because if we're gonna play a new map, I shouldn't be going for these crazy plays, or maybe I should. But for me personally, they told me to just cool it, and they also gave up mid as well. We played a lot more passively on the map, basically, as our like a little adjustment. And on the second half, I think you're right. They just weren't ready for just us to W key everywhere. Like
Yeah.
we didn't have much of a plan. Some rounds we did have a plan, but other time we just defaulted and took what they gave to us, and we kind of avoided mid most of the time. Alter was having an incredible game on Anubis.
Yeah.
He was like
Oh my god.
35 and 12. It was unbelievable, and we kind of we tried to avoid him, and it clearly wasn't very effective, but I think kind of attacking the sites worked a lot better for us coming
Yeah.
in. And I don't think they ever really adjusted to the pace as well as we did on our CT side.
Yeah.
And that's what I think was the difference in the end.
Yeah, that's great.
So-
I mean, like you said, I think we were kind of calling out some of these tendencies as we saw them, and like the next round you're adjusting to it. The number one thing that we talked about was, like you said, Alter is just on a different level. He was god tier across both maps, doing just insane things wherever. And it seemed like even if he was like 1 versus 4, you could never count them out just because of how good he is. So I love that adaptation. It was good to see, and I appreciate the insight into that thought process.
Yeah.
And moving that conversation from that T side to the CT side or vice versa, how were you guys able to think about that same thought process where it seemed the same case on both sides? You gave up mid when you were on the CT side, and then you just held W on the T side, both completing the same goal of making sure that Marquette has to look in so many different directions at the exact same time without knowing exactly where the aggression is going to come from. What exactly was the turning point there? Because it seemed to come very late in that first half, and then you just rode the wave, especially in water, down through the map.
Yeah. I feel like the late adjustment I think was us, because I feel like we felt when we got those first initial run of rounds that we were gonna ride that the rest of the half, and when it didn't, and we started losing again, that's when we really had to think a bit in between rounds and change it up a lot. And as I said last time when we played Idaho, as a team, we're normally very we tend to be very aggressive, and I think we put a lot of undue stress on our anchors, but we tend to be very aggressive in most of our games, and it works sometimes to our detriment, as it did I think at the start of the fall split. Definitely. But I think we maybe get away with a lot of, I think, disorienting plays more than something that was carefully thought out.
Right.
And I feel like there are some teams that will eat through us if we try that all the time. But I feel like it was more of a case of figuring out what worked and sticking to it as soon as we figured out what they weren't receptive to at all. And that's just something we didn't. I don't think we explicitly said that, but it's something we kind of figured out collectively as the game went on.
Well, I have two quick questions to close things
Alright.
out. Number one, really a statement into a joke, which is Alter went 66 and 49 in 56 rounds. Do you agree that we should check him PC?
Yes.
Okay,
He's cheating.
just
He's better.
just wanted to make sure. There's no way, because honestly, anytime somebody's better than you in any game, obviously they're using some third-party software, whether it's just injection straight to the wrist or whatever it is. There's got to be some performance-enhancing drugs out there. I don't care what anybody says. Alter's just too good. Second question, on a more serious note, how do you guys see yourselves looking throughout the rest of the season? Because you're 8-8 right now in terms of maps. You just took down Marquette to make them 10-6, so you're still close in 5th place, but you're still 3 or 4 games out from 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. How do you feel your outcomes are going to be in the last 5-6 weeks of the season?
Is Marquette in 4th?
As of right now, they are. Let me check. I have my standings up. They went from 10-4 to 10-6. They should be in 4th place. Yes.
All right.
Villanova is 11-5 in 3rd. UConn is 12-6 in 2nd.
I think this is gonna come down mainly because I don't know how well we're gonna do in the Paul and UConn games. I'm confident we could definitely probably get a map on one of them. Maybe on an Inferno if which,
You heard it here first. Ban Inferno against RIT. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, Marquette did it. They banned Inferno first
Yes.
thing. So, but I'm not gonna be toxic or anything. But I think it comes down mainly to the game against Montana and to the game against Villanova and what they bring on that game. mainly to figure out where we finish. And of course, obviously, it depends on how if Marquette like fall apart or if any of the teams above us like start dropping maps a bunch. But I feel like if we're gonna hedge our bets and placing high, it's gonna be on those two games, those two series.
Understandable. And obviously, final question, as we always do here in EGFC. Any final thoughts you have on the series? Any shout outs you may have? The floor is all yours.
Shout out to MJB for just kind of showing up on 5 minutes notice. Shout out, of course, to my brother again, who was watching the whole time, and he always comments on everything after the game and sometimes during the game. Outside of that, I mean, I don't know. I guess my team. Thanks. I didn't shout him out individually as much this game. So thank you. Get wrecked and Ning. You played great. I already gave a shout out to MGB and of course Hobo Job, Frag Daddy. Yeah, great game on Anubis.
And
Great
before we
turnaround.
let you go, can you show the shirt? Because I saw it. Not everybody has fully seen the
I
shirt.
can show the shirt.
The shirt
fans.
is absolutely
Alright.
goated. We love it. Hopefully it kind of shows up. Mostly.
Yeah, I
There we
got you.
go.
Let me
That's
give you the
that's
yeah,
amazing.
the tour. There you go.
He's totally
With
maybe
lifeless
frozen.
blue
There we
eyes.
go. Well,
I'm
thank you, Chu.
frozen. Oh no.
No,
You
you're
were
good.
for a
There you go.
second. You're good now. You're good
Got
now.
you.
Well,
Got you. There's the
Chu,
shirt.
thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate the shirt and the insight as to the team. Good luck with the rest of these.
Thank you. Yeah, have a great night.
Well, Tyler, surprising outcome one, not surprising outcome also one between our two series. Villanova with a 32-2, but it's really the showing of RIT coming out on top of things. Overall round differential for all of you curious, it was 32-24 to close things out, and a 2-0 map win as well. Looking pretty good as we move into the latter stages of the season.
Yeah, very excited to see that. And Chutang mentioned there's a bunch of games coming up that are kind of those deciding factors as to where everybody's ultimately going to finish. We've got lots of top team matches coming up in terms of those top four that you mentioned earlier. And really, it's going to come down to how they compete with one another, whether we see some movement up and down. And then Idaho and Montana coming in or late into this. They're starting off from a position of, rough starts for both of them. One forfeit, one kind of one-sided match earlier, but it's still pretty early. We've got 7 weeks of the season left, including week 17. So, I'm excited to see where this all plays out. And I mean, these games have been great. I mean, none of them have, fallen below expectations. And it certainly makes me excited to come here every Friday on twitch.tv/official EGF starting at 4:30 p.m. So I can't wait till next week to see what happens.
Well, a TLDR on where we are currently in the season. This is the end of week 10. The standings are as follows. I'm not going to show you the graphic because it's not updated. DePaul's at 15-1. UConn is at 12-6. Villanova 11-5. Marquette in fourth now at 10-6 after the 2-map loss to RIT. RIT goes up to a 50% win rate at 8-8 in fifth place, while both Montana and Idaho share sixth place at 0-4. Just the round differential, 4-round difference, by the way, -42 or -52 for Montana, -56 for Idaho. Both looking to make waves as they join in the EGFC, at least in the CSGO side of things. But that's it for CSGO here in week 10. Don't forget, more CSGO next week and every Friday here for the rest of the early spring. I won't be here next week. You'll be joined by Nerds Corner on casting with Tyler and, of course, Laggy back on production. I'm headed to Montreal for the 6 Invitational, but if you'd like to watch more of the EGFC, at least this week, go head over to twitch.tv/official EGF3. It's, as I totally know, the teams, Northern Arizona University taking on the University of Hawaii. If you'd like to watch some Valorant, you're more than welcome to do so. If not, have a very nice rest of your weekend, and hopefully we'll see you next week for some more EGFC action. Bye-bye.